400,000 people to the west to go and work, which is not true. The opposition is united and they have a plan. The first plan is to get William Ruto out. The next plan is to work on urgent and practical things that improve the quality of people, quality of life of Kenyans. We don't want to get into the details because he may use that to try and again hoodwink Kenyans one more time. Ya pili, niseme, Fred Matiang'i has demonstrated in the past that he's enthusiastic to work. He has demonstrated he is a worker. He's demonstrated he is a worker. He's result oriented. Si mambo ya perepere juu ya gari. Yeye ni mtu anafanya kazi. Unaelewa? Akiwa Ministry of Education, we know what he did. Akiwa Ministry of Interior, we have seen what he has done. Like many people say, there is no one who is an angel. There are things he may have overdone, or there are things that are being claimed that he did which are not true. But what we are saying, Kenya needs a renaissance. My friend Caleb Missy likes talking about renaissance. And for me, the person who can help us, he is not an angel, who can help us first remove William Ruto, and then be Kwareli, kwa line, is Fred Matiang'i. Why? Because he has demonstrated that in the past. Anybody else has gotten a chance and they haven't done it. Kwa wale ambao wako na yeye at the top. So the opposition is united, first to make sure Ruto goes. Number two, to bring Kenyans to trust the civil service, to trust the police, to trust government. And then deal with the urgent and practical issues. And I've told you the major ones are food security, health care, education. Infrastructure can be worked on as and when money is available. Huyu analazimisha infrastructure because that is where they eat from. Hata we kwako, the days you are doing construction, ukianza ujenzi wa nyumba yako, on the days you have money, you push, unasema lazima nifikishe kwa rentals. Ukifika hapo fedha ikisha, you take a break. You don't force. Kwako nyumbani, there are days you want to eat a protein. Protein ile expensive ni nyama. Utaikula, ukule. Siku ila una fedha, what do? You eat eggs or beans. You understand?
Yeah.
So, these are some of the things people need to think about. Huyu lazima housing ifanywe because ni kukula. Barabara lazima zifanywe ni kukula. Kitu fulani, ujenzi fulani lazima ufanye ni kukula. They don't look at, can we stop this and pay capitation? Unaona analazimisha, lazima state house iwe renovated every year. State lodges ziwe renovated every year. As in, offices zake, office ya deputy president, you know, it is absurd. These are people who do not think about Kenyans. They are thinking about themselves. Yeah? And I want to tell you, ukisoma Biblia vizuri, utaona kuna rula mmoja, ndakutumia, ambaye alikuwa anatumia kifua kama William Ruto. Lakini ilifika wakati, akakuwa na kitu inaitwa self-destruction. Now William Ruto, when he will realize, I hope one day he watches these clips, and his people, they stop being petty, kiddish and nonsensical, and start listening with a third eye, and understand the issues we are talking about. Because they are so obsessed with stealing and getting another chance to steal that they don't read between the lines. They should stop hating and start listening, and that can help them change a few things that can help them be even competitive in 2027. Yes.
Na Maraga yuko pale, Matiang'i yuko pale. Mambo ni yepi pia?
We support Maraga. It is his civic duty. It is his right to run for office. Lakini sisi kama jamii tumeweka weight yetu nyuma ya Matiang'i kutoka Kisii. Na Matiang'i is not a candidate of the Kisii community. Matiang'i is a candidate of Kenyans. Because hao ndio walianza kumuitisha during the Gen Z movement. Na ukiangalia katika polls, pali ameshinda President William Ruto mainly ni Mount Kenya, ye ndio leading. Of course Kisii, even Nyanza ile what I can call Luo Nyanza amemshinda, Western amemshinda. So he's a Kenyan, he's a candidate of Kenyans. Na mimi nimekuambia we deal with polls, serious polls. Atufanye siasa hii ya vipindi na propaganda. Hata wewe nimekuambia ingia taxi hapa mpaka Nation Center, uchukue ingine kutoka Nation Center mpaka Panafric, ingine kutoka Panafric urudi town, uulize that haya wakati unawekewa mafuta kwa gari, uliza hao watu. Yule anakuserve kwa hoteli, muulize. You will be able to get the feel of Kenyans. Na mimi nawaomba wa Kenya tuungane. Tusijaribu kugawanyishwa kwa misingi ya kikabila. Tusihadaiwe tena. William Ruto has mastered the art of hoodwinking. But I like the way Kenyans are operating. You moved on. He is still in the past. Keep on focusing on the future. Do not lose hope. Let us not tear our country down. Tungoje 2027. I give you assurance we will remove them from power and we will transform our country. Na nawasihi muungane behind the opposition na muungane behind Fred Matiang'i ambaye ni candidate ambaye amedemonstrate that he can transform this country. Forget about these people wa William Ruto na marafiki zake who are trying to create a monster in Rigathi Gachagua by trying kumpaka rangi mbaya, kumfanya nini. He may have his issues, but the state is trying to create him like he's your enemy, so that whoever is associated with him, he is not your friend. We are telling you this. Unite behind these people so that we can change this country. Na pia vijana na waomba tuwache maneno ya mihadarati. Let us keep off drugs. Let us unite. Let us look for opportunities. I know it is tiring. It is challenging, but we shouldn't give up on ourselves and even on our country. Thank you.
Asante sana mheshimiwa kwa kuzidi kuzungumza na sisi, na natumai kwamba wale wa Kenya ambao wametazama pale na wale ambao pia watatazama baadaye wataona kile ambacho mheshimiwa ameweza kufanya na kuzungumzia hapa, na hakuna mengi ya kuzungumza. Tutakutafuta wakati mwingine ambapo hupo na wakati mwafaka tuweze kuzungumza mengi zaidi na kiundani, maana nimesikia unayandani sana. Asante sana kuzidi kuzungumza na sisi tunakutakia kila laheri na Mwenyezi Mungu akuongoze mahali popote pale unapokwenda.
Mnanibaia lunch?
Naam, ipo usishangaa. Ndio hivyo mpenzi utazamaji, tumekuwa na mbunge kutoka maeneo ya Kitutu Chache South Anton Kibagendi pale, na leo hii sisi tunasema kwamba fumba mfumbie mjinga kwani mwerevu ataling'amua. Mimi ni
Kasipul Kabondo, Karachuonyo, pande ya Karachuonyo. So sisi tunakuwa kwa boda ile ambayo inatoka Kisii kienda Kisumu njiani, mali inaitwa karibu Oyugis, mali inaitwa Ruga. Na Kitutu Chache Kusini inaguza Kisii town, na iko na makabila mengi katika constituency hiyo. Haswa ndugu zetu kutoka upande wa Nyanza ndio wale naweza sema ni community kubwa ambayo inaishi pale constituency yetu. Na pia katika boda yetu na pande ya Karachuonyo tuko na sehemu ward ambayo imeguza ward ya kutoka eneo ya Kasipul ambayo inaitwa Bugusero. So tuko na jamii ya Waluo pale Bugusero ward na Kisii town. Na pia tuko na jamii kubwa ya watu kutoka Mlima Kenya katika constituency yetu na sehemu zingine zote za Kenya, lakini haswa hizo kabila mbili ndio wale naweza sema tumetangamana nao kabisa katika constituency yetu ya Kitutu Chache Kusini.
Kazi vipi, umefikia wapi kufanyia watu kazi, maana wewe ni mjumbe wa kwanza?
Mimi ni mara yangu ya kwanza kuchaguliwa kama mwakilishi bunge la Kitutu Chache South. Kazi ambayo tulikuwa tumeahidi wananchi, haswa kazi ya kubadilisha maisha yao, tumejaribu tuwezavyo, haswa katika matumizi ya fedha za National Government Constituency Development Fund ambazo tumezitumia vizuri, haswa kwa mambo ya basari, watoto wetu waweze kusoma. Constituency yetu kwa Kisii County ndio constituency ambayo 95 to 97% ya wale 97% ya wale ambao wanaweka application ya kupata basari tunawapatia. Na tuko na 100% transition kwa wale wanatoka shule za msingi kuelekea shule za upili. Na haswa sasa wale wanatoka shule za msingi wakienda junior secondary, tuko na 100% transition. Hiyo ni ya kwanza. Ya pili, shule zetu tumezibadilisha vile zinaonekana. Hapo awali kulikuwa na shule ambazo hazikuwa na nyumba zile za usafi ama vyoo. Sasa tumeweka vyoo katika kila shule. Madarasa hayakuwa natosha, tumetengeza madarasa. Kuna yale tumetengeneza upya na kuna yale tumewafanyia mabadiliko ili yawe habitable. Na pia tunaendelea kutengeza. Na sababu shule zetu ama kule Kitutu Chache South tuko na shida ya shamba, sasa tunaanza kujenga mashule tukielekea juu. Tunajenga magorofa. Na hivi mwaka huu, this financial year, tunaanza ujenzi wa madarasa wa magorofa katika shule kadha wa kadha. Pia tumetengeza laboratories, tumetengeneza administration blocks. Kuna mashule ambazo tumechimba maji tukichimba katika shule, pia tunajaribu kusaidia community. Hiyo ni mabadiliko tumeleta katika constituency yetu. Kitu kingine tulileta ni mambo ya scholarship. Watoto ambao ambao wako very bright na wanatoka familia ambazo hazijiwezi kabisa, tumejaribu kuwapatia wengine partial scholarship, wengine tumewapatia scholarship, full scholarship. Na wale ambao ni mayatima tumefatia bidii ili kila mtoto aweze kuwa shuleni. Tunasema kila mtoto aweze kupata elimu ya msingi na elimu ya sekondari at least. And then pia tumeanza tunamalizia ujenzi wa shule ya kiufundi inaitwa Kitutu Chache Technical Training College ama Institute, ambayo sasa pia tunawaambia wanafunzi ambao wanatoka high schools waweze kuingia hapo, waweze kupata skills ambazo zitawatusaidia maishani. Na pande nyingine katika barabara zetu, wakati niliingia hatukuwa na lami katika constituency yangu other than ile main road ya kutoka Kisii kwenda Kisumu na main road ya kutoka Kisii pia kwenda Kisumu, lakini ilikuwa inapita nyuma kule, inapitia ndani ya Kitutu Chache South ikielekea sehemu zingine. Sasa nimejaribu, tumetengeza barabara moja, tumeweka lami ya kutoka Igonga in Bonchari inakuja mpaka kwetu mahali inaitwa Mosocho. Nimejaribu, tumeweka lami, barabara inatoka Nyabururu. Tuko Nyabururu ni complex ambayo iko na mashule mengi na iko na parish kubwa kabisa ya Catholic. Waanzilishi wa dini ya Kikatoliki ilianzia hapo Nyabururu. So tumeweka lami hapo na tuko na National School imepiga loop kutoka Nyabururu, imezunguka ikatoka mahali inaitwa Nyamataro. Na pia tumemaliza ujenzi wa barabara ambayo inaanza Nyakoe inaelekea mahali inaitwa Marani. Ilikuwa imekwama pale mahali inaitwa Nyagisai, lakini sasa tunaikamilisha. Na pia kuna ingine kwa hiyo fork ambayo inaitwa kutoka Nyaore inaenda paka Gesieka. Hizo pia tumeweka lami. Bali na hayo pia barabara zetu zile zinaitwa dirt road ama rural roads, ni zile za kuwekwa maram na kuweza kusindilia hivi. Hizo pia tumetengeza. Unajua Kisii iko na shida ya mvua kali sana ambayo inaharibu barabara zetu haraka. So kila mwaka huwa tunafanya kitu inaitwa routine maintenance wakati mvua inapungua. Kwa hivyo wakati mwingine unaweza sikia watu wakilalamika, lakini ni wale ambao ni professionals, engineers, wanaona barabara hizi jengwa wakati wa mvua. Kwa hivyo sasa ndio tunatengeza barabara hizo. Kuna zile ziko kwa purview ya member of parliament, barabara kama 16 hivi. Hizo zote tunazitengeza, zingine zishatengezwa na zingine tunaendelea kuzitengeza. Kwa hivyo barabara zetu hata kama si lami ziko shwari kabisa. Kitu kingine ambayo nimefanya Kitutu Chache South, najua ungependa kuuliza swali lingine, ni tumejaribu kuleta ukulima upya. Kule mashamba ni madogo, kwa hivyo tunajaribu kuwahimiza watu wa Kitutu Chache South waweze kupanda avocado. Imekuja mpya ambayo inakaa muda na inakuwa export quality, inaitwa Hasa avocado. Nimejaribu, nimedistribute nimepea wananchi wangu karibu 15,000 seedlings. Familia unapata wako na mti moja ama mbili ama tatu ama nne, ili baada ya mwaka moja na nusu mbili tutakuwa na cooperative ambayo itakuwa inanunua hizo avocado, inaweza kuziuza katika nchi za nje. Na pia tunawaambia waweze kufuga kuku za kienyeji ziweze kusaidia watu wetu pale, na pia ufugaji wa ng'ombe za dairy ambazo zinachukua nafasi ndogo ama hata mbuzi, ili watu wetu waweze kujiendeleza. Na pia nirudilie kusema tunawa encourage watu wetu waingie shule za kiufundi ili waweze kujiskimu na ufundi huo, ama waweze kupata kazi ambazo tumeona zinapatikana katika nchi za ugabuni na sehemu zingine katika dunia hii.
Naam. Na mheshimiwa, tukiangazia kati ya hapa nchini Kenya, vijana ndio uti mgongo wa nchi yoyote ile. Labda unafanya kitu gani hasa kuhakikisha kwamba wale vijana wakitoka pale katika vyuo vya kiufundi, labda ile tajriba wamepata pale, wamekuja pale wamepata kazi na kujiendeleza katika maisha yao?
Asante sana. Sasa sisi tumejaribu kwanza vijana wakimaliza high school ama sekondari, tunawaambia waingie katika vyuo vya ufundi. Kwanza katika vyuo vya ufundi tunawaambia waweze kujihusisha na ufundi aswa kama plumbing, electrical, tailoring, mambo hata ya upishi, mambo ya welding na mambo kama hayo. Sababu hayo kwanza, kabla wewe uweze kujisimamia kufanya biashara, pia nchi za nje zinahitaji watu kama hao. Nchi za nje. Lakini baada ya hapo tuko na fedha ambazo zinaitwa Uwezo Fund. Uwezo Fund ndio tunatumia, tunaleta hao vijana, tunaweka katika vikundi, wanaweza kupata hiyo fedha, wanaweza kujiendeleza na kujikimu kimaisha, kuweza kuanza biashara yao. Sababu kazi siku hizi zimekuwa nadra sana. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio tunajaribu encourage watu wakuwe na technical skills, waweze kuanza kujikimu wao wenyewe kimaisha. We support them through hiyo Uwezo Fund, na pia saa ingine tunatumia mbinu zingine kujaribu kuwasaidia. Hatuwezi kuwasaidia kila mtu, lakini tunafanya lile tuwezalo ili watu wetu waweze kusaidika.
Mheshimiwa, kuna kitu ambao umezungumza pale kwamba wale vijana iwapo watahitimu kuna kazi kule ugaimbuni kule. Lakini tukiangazia hapa, iwapo vijana wote watatoroka waende nchi zingine kule nje, na kule nje kile ambao wana encourage ni kufufua zile viwanda ili vijana waweze kupata kazi kule. Kwa nini hapa kwetu tusifanye vitu kama hizo? Maana tumeona EPZ imefunguliwa kwingine, kuna zile zinafanya. Kwa nini tusiangalie mtindo kama ule ili wale vijana wakae hapa nchini yao, wajitegemee, walipe kodi hapa kwao ili uchumi uweze kuzidi
kunawiri. Shida tuko nao katika nchi yetu ni viongozi wakuu. Viongozi wakuu katika serikali, rais na wale ambao wanaitwa advisors wake na watu wa Ministry of Planning. Hao ndio wameharibu nchi yetu. Wameharibu nchi yetu kivipi? Zile viwanda ambavyo tulikuwa navyo hapa, mingi zimefunga, zikaenda katika nchi ya Ethiopia, zikaenda Tanzania, wengine wameenda hata Uganda. Na serikali haipatiani kitu inaitwa subsidies ili watu wengine waweze kuja, waweze kuweka factory zao hapa na viwanda vingine ili viweze create jobs. Lakini exporting of labor haimaanishi kuwa hakuna kazi, ni sababu hakuna kazi. Exporting of labor hiyo ni kitu ya kawaida dunia nzima. Lakini kwetu hapa imekuwa ni kama ni unasoma uende ng'ambo, sababu hakuna kazi hapa. Lakini hiyo imeletwa na fikra na policies mbaya na wale ambao ni viongozi sasa hivi. For example, in manufacturing, ukiingia kama mambo ya steel and wire products, ile kutengeneza vyuma na hata mabati na vitu kama hivyo, unapata serikali inafanya mbinu ya kumpea mtu mmoja ama wawili kipaumbele against other competitors. So unapata kampuni moja ya rafiki wa rais ndio wanapata ile kandarasi, ndio wanapata makandarasi, ndio wako na subsidies, hata wengine hawalipi power, hawalipi taxes, ndio unapata wao wananawiri, viwanda vingine vikianguka. Hiyo ni jambo la kwanza. Ya pili, unapata serikali kwa ujumla haitilii maanani watu wawekezaji wanabembelezwa vile unaweza kubembeleza msichana utake kumuoa. You have to attract them. You must have attractive policies, especially tax regime. Ya pili, cost of power ya stima na fuel ya mafuta. Ingine ni cost of labor, wafanyikazi. Hapa Kenya, the cost of labor is too high. Why? Tax. President ameamua anataka kuwatafutia rafiki zake kandarasi za ujenzi wa nyumba. Ameamua kuingia kwa payslip. Anasema lazima yule anakuajiri na wewe muajiriwa nyote mcontribute to that. So it increases the cost of labor in Kenya. Hiyo inafanya wawekezaji wanakimbia nchi zile ambazo it is cheaper. Cost of power, stima. Unapata kila wakati tunapandisha stima. Na hatutumii international guidelines. Unapata cost ya fuel kule especially Uarabuni ambapo mafuta yanatoka, unapata cost per barrel inashuka. The international kwa OPEC katika ile trading mafuta yanashuka. It does not translate to an equal reduction hapa kwetu. Unapata hapa wanapunguza tu kidogo sababu kuna ujanja ambao unaendelea. Kuna watu wanakula commission ya shilingi 3 per liter. Si serikali kwanza, individuals wanakula shilingi 3 per liter of petrol, per liter of kerosene, per liter of diesel. Alafu kuna commission wanakula kwa other petroleum products kama oils hizi ambazo zinatumika kwa gari. Unapata kwa hiyo mafuta kuna levy ambayo sasa imewekwa kulipa loan ya ujenzi wa stadium ambayo inajengwa na fedha mingi kushinda hata stadium ambazo zimejengwa kule Uingereza na Uhispania. Unapata other than that kuna taxes. Alafu kuna ingine tunaita hidden taxes. Unapata kwa mafuta sasa inauzwa 180 something, 100 shillings inaenda kwa serikali na wale brokers, which is unfortunate and irresponsible of a responsible and responsive government, wale ambao wanawanyanyasa wale watu wa chini kabisa. Kwa hivyo hiyo ndio imefanya wawekezaji hawaoni umuhimu wa kuwekeza hapa. Wanaona wacha waende nchi zile ambazo ziko na favorable policies, favorable tax regime, favorable power and favorable cost of labor. Yeah.
Naam, tunazidi kuzungumza na mheshimiwa mbunge kutoka maeneo ya Kitutu Chache South ambaye ni Anton. Na tukielekea upande mwingine wa national politics, mheshimiwa, tunaona sasa hivi tuna broad based government ambao wengi wanaita majina tofauti tofauti. Labda wewe msimamo wako upi? Una support broad based government ambao sasa hivi imeanza kuleta mambo na conclave?
Mimi I don't support the broad-based government.
Why?
The broad-based government is there purely not to ensure the quality of life of Kenyans has improved. Iko hapo for a few people to benefit and their relatives and their friends to get government contracts. When you have a broad-based government, it is supposed to improve the cost of living. It is supposed to improve what we call the quality of life. Quality of life in what sense? One, healthcare, access and affordability. Hiyo hatujafika. Wanaongea juu ya SHA. Mimi ninakaa kamati ya health. SHA is not working. SHA is working through threats. There is no seamless system that is working. What happens is, mtu akifika hospitali, serikali kujitoa aibu ina threaten hiyo hospitali itibu huyo mtu ndiye asiende kucomplain. It is not a system that you input your name and your biometrics, it picks up and you get treated for the ailment seamlessly, and then the claim is processed, it goes to SHA, SHA pays the hospital. You know, that is not how it works.
Nikukatiza kidogo mheshimiwa. Tukiangazia masuala ya afya ambayo ni SHA na SHIF pale. Tumeona watu wengi wakicomplain sana wakienda hospitali hawatibiwi, wanaambiwa waifanyi. Na pia kile cha kushangaza ni kwamba kuna wale ambao wanasupport serikali, na kuna mmoja pia kutokea kule maeneo ya Meru, sitamtaja jina kule, anasupport serikali na ndio wa kwanza alikuwa anaimba kwamba SHA inafanya. Lakini kidogo tu mheshimiwa, alilazwa hospitali wiki 2 zilizopita pale.
Yeah, Makarena, namjua.
Na tukamwona kwamba akilalamika kwamba SHA haifanyi. Labda ni nini inafanyika? Ni kumaanisha kwamba wale ambao wanasupport serikali wanalazimisha kusema hii inafanya na haifanyi.
Mimi nataka nikuelezee hivi vile SHA inafanya. SHA inafanya through threats. vile nimekuelezea, hakuna a seamless system ambayo inafanya uweze, ukienda hospitali unasema mimi naitwa Anthony Kibagendi, wanakuambia weka biometric, ina pop sura yako na ma details zako, unaingizwa kwa daktari, anakupima, anasema huu mtu ako na malaria, ama unaambiwa nenda lab katibiwe, costs zinakuwa collected, unaambiwa dawa nenda ukachukue pale, alafu that is not how SHA works. SHA is working through threats. Where hospitals, wewe kama ukiingia katika hospitali, hospitali inalazimishwa kukutibu whether the system is working or not. Hii hospitali kwa nini inalazimishwa? Wanaambiwa usipotibu au watu watuletea aibu, wewe tutakutoa katika kufutwa kazi. Si kufutwa kazi, tutakutoa katika the hospitals that are providing services to Kenyans. And you're in business. So you just have to do it. So number 2, it is about the benefits. Benefits za SHA. Hapo awali, mama mjamzito akienda kujifungua, kulikuwa na kitu inaitwa Linda Mama kwa NHIF, ambayo ilikuwa inalipa the entire cost from the day you walk in to the day you walk out. In what sense? Kama utazaa na uwe na complication, ama mtoto awe na complication, it will take care of that and the number of days you'll be in hospital. Sasa hivi, ukienda ujifungue, if you have complications, ama mtoto awe na complications, SHA will only pay up to 13,000 shillings. Anything above that you pay from your pocket. Hiyo ni normal delivery. Na kama unaenda kujifungua kwa njia ya C-section, ni 33, iko capped at 33,000. Anything, mtoto akuwe na complication awekwe kwa ile nursery, ama wewe unahitaji kuongezewa damu wiki mzima, ama mambo kama hayo, beyond 3 days and any other complication, you take care of it. That is the truth. Haya, ngoja kidogo, tuingie wale ambao wanaugua ugonjwa tuseme wa cancer, ama wanahitaji matibabu specialized. Unapata there is a cap. So in a financial year, if you utilize that and it imeisha, bas we sasa jisort. Kama sasa tuseme ni ile ya kufanyiwa the weekly imepotea kidogo, ile dialysis. Ukimaliza your session, ukimaliza fedha zako na bado uko na sessions zingine, hizo utajilipia. That was not the case. That is supposed to be there. While at it, SHA iko na other benefits mzuri kwa Wakenya. Kuna kitu inaitwa emergency treatment, ambayo ni muhimu sana. How I wish it was working. Whereby, ukipata ajali, badala ya kukimbizwa Kenyatta uende kupanga foleni, Kenyatta iko na watu wengi, unaweza kupelekwa Nairobi Hospital, utibiwe, baadaye ukishakuwa stabilized, you can be moved kwa hospitali ya kiwango chako. Unaelewa? Hiyo fedha itatumika kulipa Nairobi Hospital for stabilizing you. We have to save life. Hiyo ni fikira mzuri. Ya pili, kulikuwa na ingine ya digital health, which is a good idea. Jambo lingine, hii kitu ya primary health care, it is a good idea but it can't work. Whereby, right now, huwezi kuenda kwa hospitali ya level 4 kutibiwa straight. Wanataka ikue referral, uende dispensary, iende level 2, ikuwe referred to level 3 ama level 4, which does not work. Kama wewe hapa unaishi huko na Bunge Towers ndio the nearest hospital, like it's been in the past, wewe ingia Bunge Towers, tibiwa. Sasa uende kutafuta hospitali Westlands ambayo ndio level 2, uanze hapo ndio baadaye wakuje kukurifa hapa. Unaona hiyo ni cumbersome for the user. Kwa hivyo hiyo, kuna mambo mazuri na kuna mambo mabaya kwa SHA, lakini mabaya yana outweigh yale mazuri. Hiyo ni example tu nilikuwa natoa ya fikira ambayo inaturudisha nyuma na hii mambo ya broad based government.
Wakati ambapo SHA tuliona viongozi kadha wa kadha kutoka upande mwingine wa Kenya Kwanza wakienda kila pahali ni kupigia debe ule mswada wa SHA na SHI kwamba inafanya, lakini pia tukamsikia rais wa hapa nchini Kenya ambaye ni Rais Ruto akisema kwamba haya ni masuala ambayo yanakuja na mambo na internet,
ni wizi, whereby there is no system sophisticated enough in this country to cost 104 billion. No system. Look here, hiyo system wananua 104 billion. Wale wali provide NHIF system, they were willing to upgrade the NHIF system for 20 billion shillings. We had students from Jomo Kenyatta University who are willing to do the system, and then it can plug into the Safaricom network and do it for less than 1 billion shillings. We had other vendors who were willing to give a system for less than 50 billion shillings or 30 billion shillings. Why did we have to do 104 billion, 10 billion every year for 10 years? Ni wizi mtupu. Tunajua wale ambao wanapata, na kidogo unapata ile consortium ya wale ambao ni beneficiaries kutoka Kenya, ni marafiki wa rais. Wengine wanafanya kazi State House. Ukweli. Na mimi siogopi kusema, katika Biblia inasema, kwa Revelation inasema Mwenyezi Mungu, watu ambao hawapendi kabisa ni watu waoga ambao hawasemi ukweli. Unaelewa? Na mimi nitaendelea kusema ukweli. Ukiangalia hiyo SHA system, kampuni ambazo zilipewa kandarasi, none of those companies has ever done a system of that magnitude anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. Na zilikuwa registered within almost 8 months. Dubai kakuwa registered haraka, ingine hapa July. October we were issuing the go ahead for these companies to start working. And it was single sourcing. Single sourcing, you must give reasons why. They were not compelling even to the committee. And that is why tunasema hii wizi tutaimaliza by kutoa William Ruto na wale wote ambao wanafanya kazi nao, na kama mimi chama yangu ODM itamsupport William Ruto, watatolewa wote pamoja. Na hiyo ndio ukweli wa mambo.
Asante sana mheshimiwa. Jana tumemwona SG ambaye ni Edwin Sifuna akizungumza na kinyume na yale ambapo alikuwa anazungumza pale Citizen TV wiki iliyopita pale. Maana alisema yeye atambui broad based government, lakini natumai kwamba umeona kile ambacho kimefanyika jana.
Yeah, na hakuna kitu ameongea kinyume.
Naam.
Nyinyi watu wa media mna distort information. Sifuna as an individual, he does not support broad-based. And he knows William Ruto, even with the support of Raila Odinga, will not be re-elected. Hiyo ninasema sababu we do research. Atuongei sababu tuna nini, we do research. Yeah? Hata wewe, the most basic research you can do, enda pali unatengezwa nywele kwa kinyozi, kwa hiyo salon, ufanye research, ujue ni watu wangapi watapigia Ruto 2027. Every taxi you use, Uber, uliza huyo mtu, anza siasa, umwambie mimi na support Ruto, usikie atasema nini. Your relatives who are employed, talk to them, ask them if they will re-elect William Ruto. Use that as a basic. Sababu pengine you may not have the tools that you need to do proper research. So I'm wondering what ODM is saying, that we must all be compelled to support William Ruto. We will not. You understand?
No.
Na mimi siwezi kumsupport William Ruto. Sababu gani? Ninajua vitu wamefanya kwa land grabbing nchi hii. Ninajua vitu wamefanya na SHA. Ninajua vitu wanafanya na housing. Ninajua vitu wanafanya na e-citizen. Ninajua wizi ambayo inaendelea katika sehemu mbalimbali katika serikali yetu, ambayo inaumiza Wakenya kwa ujumla. Number 2, nikuulize hivi.
No.
Sifuna alisoma kitu inaitwa resolutions za the topmost organ ya ODM. Those were not his thoughts. When you call Sifuna to give his opinion, he will give you the same thing he said the other week on TV. So what he was reading are resolutions of party. Yeah. And number 2, those resolutions are not far off from what Sifuna was saying. Yes. Only that Sifuna has become such a big influence in this country. He speaks for the majority of the people. So msianze kubadilisha ati Sifuna aliongea hivi, party yake imesema hivi. No, what Sifuna was reading are resolutions of the party.
Kuna wale ambao wanasema kwamba iwapo Sifuna ile position ya kukua SG pale katika chama cha ODM, iwapo inampotezea ule umaarufu na kutangamana na wananchi na kusikiza wananchi, basi ya resign. Wewe unasema vipi?
Si lazima resign. Hiyo ni ODM is a democratic party.
No.
And you can speak for yourself and there are days you speak for the party.
Lakini tumeona wale ambao wanasupport serikali ukiangazia kama senator pale Kaluma,
Kaluma, those are I want to say here today, Kaluma and those surrogates who earn an extra salary from pitching for William Ruto and this unfortunate government are not in touch with reality. Hata leo nimekuwa naye kwa gym na nimemwambia, he only dismisses, he does not even listen. Anasema Sha is working. Najaribu kumwambia Sha hivi ndivyo ina work. He does not listen. Namwambia what tools are you using? Kama now sisi tumefanya research. No. We don't do politics ya kubahatisha, research. Hiyo nyanza ambayo wanategemea. Pali William Ruto akona the highest support is in Homa Bay. Homa Bay is at 38%. Siaya is at 31%. Kisumu is at 34%. Migori is at 28%. So, huyu Kaluma mwenye anapiga kifua. Yeye ni TikTok, ni Twitter tu kuandika. Mimi, I'm talking practical politics. I may be a first-time member of parliament, but I'm telling you this. These people are blinded. They are living in the past. They are living in the past. Bado Kaluma anafikiri makabila. Hata tukienda makabila. The Luo community let down Raila Odinga. It is not the Mount Kenya community that let him down. 600,000 people combined in Siaya, Migori, Homa Bay and Kisumu didn't vote. Had 250,000 more voted, Raila would be president. And even if 20,000 more would have voted, what would have happened? We would have had a runoff. 20,000 more. But kifua ile wanajipiga nao na kuandika Twitter. They don't, I'm telling you, they do not understand the real politics. Ni kujigamba sababu wamekuwa parliament for 2-3 terms by hanging on the coat ya Raila Odinga. Now they pretend to be experienced. That is not experience. You're just lucky you are in the right frame, in the right formation. Politics of today, sisi politicians, we are living in the past. The young people of this country, the voters of this country have moved on. Today Kaluma was telling me, Ruto has employed 70,000 teachers. I agree. Do you know the 70,000 employed don't support William Ruto? They don't. You cannot give me a job and you overtax me. You understand? And I want to tell you, while they're thinking about tribes, voters have changed, my sister. How? The biggest voting block, tupende tusipende, ni Mount Kenya. Iyo, hata waendelee kutusi kusema nini, that is the truth. The second biggest voting block in Kenya inaitwa the salaried people. Watu wako na payslip. In this new political dispensation. It is not a tribe. It is a community of salaried people whom William Ruto has messed up with enormous tax. Tax ya housing that everybody has refused. Tax ya SHA levy, about contribution ambao watu wanakatwa. Ambayo wengi wako na other insurance cover, lakini wanaona vile Ruto na watu wake wanakata hiyo pesa ambao wanakata 2.75 kuenda kujinufaisha wenyewe. It is not for the benefit of our people. It is not. And I speak this confidently as someone who sits in the health committee. What I've seen, these weaklings, the people in power, what I've seen them do is, when you disagree with them like this, like Ndindi Nyoro, wanakutoa kwa ile kamati, ati wanakutoa kwa budget, ndio usiulize maswali. Mimi watanitoa pengine kwa hiyo health, ndio nisiseme hii. Nawaambia mimi nitaendelea kuenda, sababu hatukatazwi kama mbunge kuenda kamati ya health, ama nini. Nitaenda na nitaendelea kuwakumbusha. The theft that is going on in this country is absurd. Unaelewa? No. These people ambao ndio wamekuwa bunge muda mrefu kunishinda. But that does not make you ati unajua zaidi kunishinda. Saa hii I'm telling you, while they're thinking about tribes, Kenyans have moved on. There is number one, I've told you, the Mount Kenya voting block. Number two, the second biggest voting block inaitwa watu wa payslip. Number three ni Gen Z. Alafu sasa uende kwa hizo makabila ambazo wanataka kuzungumzia. Gen Z wengine will retreat to their tribal cocoons later, but for a majority will remain intact. they will remain intact. You get? Na mimi nakwambia hivi, the power ya raia ni more powerful kushinda power ya wale wako kwenye uongozi. Hapa bunge tuko na askari wengi wanachunga bunge, wanachunga bunge towers. Ukiingia kule mlikuwa hata mliandikisha mahali. Mimi ninatangamana na hawa watu sana. There is no single police officer supporting this government. Single. For them to get police officers to go and kill kids, wale unaona wanaenda kushoot watoto, they have to do cherry picking. Unaelewa hiyo ni nini? Lazima watafute wale wako loyal to the system. Hawawezi ambia tu polisi tokeni, nendeni mkadili na waandamanaji, hapana. They have to pick, they have to cherry pick. Ndio wapate wale loyal to. A government should have a civil service that is loyal to them. Right now, there is no civil servant supporting William Ruto other than those who got jobs through William Ruto inappropriately. Na sasa ni kupeleke kwa siasa ile ya ndani. No. Na hii ni watu wengi hawaelewi. Sababu siasa imebadilika. No. The pillars that would put William Ruto in power are about 5 pillars. Unanielewa? No. 5 pillars. Number 1 was the major ethnic bases. Ethnic base, makabila makubwa. No. Na moja ni Mount Kenya na Rift Valley. He has lost Mount Kenya and 40% of Rift Valley. Why 40% of Rift Valley? Of the 5.6 million voters in Rift Valley, 2.1 million are Kikuyu. Not Mount Kenya generally, but Agikuyu. Number 2, of the remaining, around 400,000 are from Kisii. You understand? No. So these ethnic bases, he has lost both Rift Valley and Mount Kenya. He has a fraction of Rift Valley. Number 2, the other base that gave William Ruto opportunity to be president was the church. The church does not vote as a block, but they influence how people think out there. Yeah? Even if you are still going to think as Kisii, there is something about what William Ruto did with the church. He had this intimate relationship with the church that softened the heart of those extremely religious people. Do you understand? He dined even with the Muslim leaders, the sheikhs. He did a very good connection with the priests and the bishops and the pastors. He may not have gone to every church, but that energy radiated to the rest of the country. And that is the second pillar that put him in power. Pillar number 3 was the hustlers. Hustlers are not generally young people. It is people of a certain economic spectrum, a certain wale wa kujitafutia. They were feeling let down by the former regime, not creating a conducive environment for them to be able waweze kujikimu. No. Those people, William Ruto lied to them that he would bring them from the bottom to the top. That is the other pillar. Pillar number 4 was what we call goodwill from international community. Because he was being kind of persecuted. And he was speaking the language that people would want to hear on issues to do with economic policies that you want to bring on board, on human rights, yeah, on even health, where he has failed spectacularly. Does he have that? Gone. Number 5 was kitu inaitwa sympathy. I remember one of my aunts telling me, no. We have to vote for huyu kijana. Mnadharau mtoto ya maskini, ndio sababu mnampiga, huyu mtoto ya maskini ndampigia. That is a pillar, is a major pillar. There are people who voted for William Ruto purely because they were sympathetic to him. And finally, William Ruto hoodwinked another category of people. Wanaitwa the professionals. He went around putting professionals together to help him come up with an economic blueprint that is not following right now. But he used that in a way that appealed to what I can call the professionals, that he has gone on to overtax, that he has gone on to raid their pay slips. That is why I've told you there is an emergence of a new voting bloc called the pay slip people. You see, wacha nimalize. Hii ni thought ambayo nataka Wakenya wasikie vizuri. Now, and then finally, there was the youth. He resonated very well with young people because he was systematic. He used poster boys. He used Ndindi Nyoro. He used me. He used Silvano Sosoro. He used, let's say, some young man called Nyaga from Embu. He used some Ireri in the diaspora. He used, you know, he had poster boys. He was accessible. He could accept ideas. Does he have, I've told you these pillars. Which pillar does William Ruto remain with? Wewe niambie. Which pillar does he remain with? William Ruto doesn't stand a chance to be re-elected. Even if he's going to use force, the police will not allow him, jeshi haitamwallow, because he has messed them all up.
Tumemsikia mbunge Fatma kutoka kule Mania Wajia akisema kwamba tutaiba, hata kama tutakusanya lazima tujaze hii kikapu. Hiyo
ni, that's a very good utterance. Hiyo inamaanisha kwanza wamejua hawezi kukuwa re-elected. Sasa wacha wajaribu kuiba. Sasa at least we know they know he will not be re-elected. Sasa wacha wajaribu kuiba.
Lakini mheshimiwa, matamshi kama hayo ingekuwa ni mtu mwingine, tukiangazia tukiachana na mambo na ukabila nini, ingekuwa ni mtu mwingine amesema kitu kama hicho kutoka upande mwingine opposition,
just imagine
washachukuliwa tu, lakini yule
just imagine had it been Rigathi Gachagua, had it been Rigathi Gachagua or myself, tungechukuliwa hatua aina gani? Ni hii serikali, I told you, it is a weak passing cloud. Kenyans need to be resilient enough to allow it to finish its term. They do not believe in fairness. They do not believe in empowerment. They believe in using people. They believe in taking advantage of people. Sasa nikuulize. Shule hazina capitation. Shule zote. Lakini kuna shule bandia zinatumiwa capitation. How is that possible? Real schools do not receive capitation. But fake registered schools, we saw one in Bomet, there are some in Baringo, they receive capitation. Those that are existing don't receive, or they receive a fraction. And then there is money to loiter around the country to do empowerment programs that instead of empowering people, that is disempowering them, because unapata mtu anatumia bus fare 170,000 kufika, akifika pale anapewa shilingi 300. That is only fare back.
Mheshimiwa, umenikumbusha kuna picha ambayo inaenea katika mitandao ya kijamii ya shule moja kutoka kule maeneo ya Deputy President Tharaka, ambayo inajengwa na matope, lakini Wakenya wamekuwa wakiuliza sana, watu wamekuwa wakitembea na ndege, empowerment, kwa nini basi wasianzie kule kwao nyumbani?
Umejibu swali hilo. Yeah, we have a disgraceful group of empowerment crusaders who do not even look at their own backyards. These people are selfish. They want people waendelee kuwa maskini ndio waendelee kuwatawala. Mimi mwenyewe niliona huyo deputy president akikanyaga matope ya kujenga shule moja kule kwao. I'm not saying he can do it in one day. He cannot. But mikakati gani imewekwa? Na si kwao pekee, sehemu zote. Kwa kina rais hapa Bomet, shule ni kama hizo tu. Kwetu hakuna shule kama hiyo. Kwangu, constituency yangu, hakuna shule kama hiyo. Hakuna shule imejengwa na matope in my constituency. We finished all that. We have permanent and habitable classrooms. We have clean and modern pit latrines. Sasa shule kama ile haina darasa, wewe unafikiri wako na vyoo? Wako na vyoo?
Ngumu.
So what we are saying hii ni serikali iko na kitu inaitwa misplaced priorities. And that is why we are saying they need to be gotten out. I know they are doing everything possible to try and win back. But Kenyans know them. Juzi wameamua wanataka wazazi waanze kulipa school fees ya primary school, secondary school increased, university wameshaharibu. Wakati wameona hii kitu itatuletea shida, they retracted. But we want to tell Kenyans, you know William Ruto, he wants a second term. Just imagine if William Ruto gets a second term, he will reintroduce school fees from nursery school all the way to university. If he gets a second term, this SHA thing that they are threatening hospitals to treat you even if it is not working, he will not care. If he gets a second term, you can imagine the tribalism he's going to push. Before the Gen Zs, you know what he was doing with all the prime parastatals. All of them ni watu kutoka makabila mainly mawili. Kweli wa mambo. Hiyo ni before ile July 25th last year. If William Ruto gets a second chance, people like myself, he will not going for the what I can call small fishes. Hii watoto hawa wanachinja. The next people will be myself, the Sifunas, Babu Winos, the Wambokas, the Kaleba Misses that have told him no, stop oppressing Kenyans, stop taking advantage of Kenyans. Sisi ndiye atatumaliza. And that is why we are saying William Ruto does not deserve an extra minute in power.
Na mheshimiwa, nina maswali mawili labda ya mwisho. Kuna hii narrative ambayo ni conclave sasa hivi ya mazungumzo kati ya wananchi na serikali, labda broad based government, lakini Wakenya wanauliza kwamba iwapo MOU bado haijakuwa implemented, basi ni nini?
Let me, you've answered that. Because can we first even implement the MOU? Yeah? We have not compensated anybody. Mtu tu amekuwa compensated ni baba ya Ojwang. And I don't know that kind of compensation ilifanywa behind the curtains. Yeah? Hao wengine wote compensation. Polisi washikwe, wahukumiwe, those who are involved. We need free press. We need freedom of association, freedom of picketing. Hivyo vitu vyote na mambo mengine yote yalikuwa katika hiyo MOU. Number 3, iko kitu inaitwa NADCO ambayo haijakuwa implemented. You get? So all these things need to be dealt with before we can talk about the other things. And William Ruto, I want to tell you, you keep telling people they do not have an agenda. Do you listen to yourself, Mr. President? You are a monumental letdown to Kenyans. You keep pointing at things, at shiny things that impress you. You need to talk about things that impress the common mwananchi. You're talking about housing. Who tells you housing is popular? It is just popular with you and the people you give contracts. You talk about employing people, you keep changing numbers, employing young people in the housing projects. 1 minute you say 50,000, the next 70, the next 400,000. Can you even try sometimes to look at these numbers? You recently said you've exported 400,000 people to go and work abroad. The people who've gone to work abroad, number one, 80% are through their own initiative. The other 20% that you claim to be 400,000, it is a lie. Since 2022 to date, people who've gotten visas as workers in foreign land are less than 150,000 Kenyans. Because you just need to walk into Qatari embassy, get the figures, walk into Saudi Arabia embassy, walk into the US embassy, walk into the Polish embassy, walk into Lithuania embassy, and you should be able to know how many people have gone. Stop throwing numbers that keep embarrassing you, Mr. President. You need to be concerned about issues of Kenyans, not issues of your friends who are in these housing projects, who are doing these systems, who are getting tenders in government. You are being lied to if indeed these are the figures your officers bring to you to keep throwing around. Mr. President, we will not allow you to systematically come with those lies and we don't talk about it. Don't hate us. Hate the people who give you fake numbers. Don't dislike us. The agenda in 2027 is first to get you out of power. Once we get you out of power, we will deal with the other issues. The urgent and practical issues for this country now, Mr. President, are, number one, affordable and accessible health care. You have not achieved. Stop lying. Number two is affordable and accessible education from the very basic level to university and colleges. Number three is food security. Stop telling us about cost of unga. Food security is broad. We are lucky we've been having rains since 2021. We've had long rains. You claim it is fertilizer. Without rains, whatever amount of fertilizer you put on the soil, you cannot get any produce. And number two, people want sugar. People want cooking fat. People want the various other products. So do not constantly throw around the cost of unga. If I told you when you got into power, Mr. President, the cost of cement was 650 shillings. Now the cost of cement is 1,100. When you got into power, the cost of buying a motor vehicle, a Vapes, for example, was about 650,000 shillings. What is it today? You need to start looking at things beyond the things that excite you. Kenyans know better. Kenyans moved on, Mr. President. Kenyans are informed people. They understand the economy. They understand what they are going through. It is about improving the quality of life of Kenyans, not the quality of life of your friends and your surrogates and those that hang around you, Mr. President. I may speak the whole day, but I believe even YouTube channels and your radio stations and TV stations have a limit to what we will want to talk. I know I've surprised you as well. I went on to talk without your questions, but I believe I've answered a majority of your questions.
Yeah, sure. Mheshimiwa, kuna swali moja tu la mwisho. Tunamwona Matiang'i ambaye alikuwa wakati mmoja waziri wa wizara ya ndani hapa nchini Kenya na pia masuala ya shule pale education. Na sasa hivi tunamwona amejiunga na Rigathi Gachagua ambaye alikuwa naibu wa rais ambaye alitimuliwa mamlakani. Tuna Maraga pale, tuna kina Natembea pale. Hao watu wote kuna baadhi ambao wanasemekana kwamba wana support side nyingine lakini wamejificha kule. Pia serikali inasema kwamba hamna plan. Labda
si ndio nimemweleza William Ruto ndiye hana plan. You know, I've told you William Ruto has an obsession with telling you about the shiny things that excite him. He does not tell you about the crooks, the things that actually affect mwananchi. He telling you about housing. 400,000 people to the west to go and work. Which is not true. The opposition is united and they have a plan. The first plan is to get William Ruto out. The next plan is to work on urgent and practical things that improve the quality of people, quality of life of Kenyans. We don't want to get into the details because he may use that to try and again hoodwink Kenyans one more time. Ya pili, niseme, Fred Matiang'i has demonstrated in the past that he is enthusiastic to work. He has demonstrated he is a worker. He is result oriented. Si mambo ya pere juu ya gari. Yeye ni mtu anafanya kazi. Unaelewa? No. Akiwa Ministry of Education, we know what he did. Akiwa Ministry of Interior, we have seen what he has done. Like many people say, there is no one who is an angel. There are things he may have overdone, or there are things that are being claimed that he did which are not true. But what we are saying, Kenya needs a renaissance. My friend Caleb Missy likes talking about renaissance. And for me, the person who can help us, he is not an angel, who can help us first remove William Ruto, and then Dikwareli kwa line is Fred Matiang'i. Why? Because he has demonstrated that in the past. Anybody else has gotten a chance and they haven't done it. Kwa wale ambao wako na yeye at the top. So the opposition is united, first to make sure Ruto goes. Number two, to bring Kenyans to trust the civil service, to trust the police, to trust government. And then deal with the urgent and practical issues. And I've told you the major ones are food security, health care, education. Infrastructure can be worked on as and when money is available. Huyu analazimisha infrastructure because that is where they eat from. Hata we kwako, the days you are doing construction, ukianza ujenzi wa nyumba yako, on the days you have money, you push, unasema lazima nifikishe kwa rentals. Ukifika hapo fedha ikisha, you take a break. You don't force. Kwako nyumbani, there are days you want to eat a protein. Protein ile expensive ni nyama. Utaikula, ukule. Siku ila una fedha, what do? You eat eggs or beans. You understand?
Yeah.
So these are some of the things people need to think about. Huyu analazimisha lazima housing ifanywe because ni kukula. Barabara lazima zifanywe ni kukula. Kitu fulani, ujenzi fulani lazima ufanye ni kukula. They don't look at, can we stop this and pay capitation? Unaona analazimisha lazima state house iwe renovated every year. State lodges ziwe renovated every year. As in offices zake, office ya deputy president, you know, it is absurd. These are people who do not think about Kenyans. They are thinking about themselves. Yeah? And I want to tell you, ukisoma Biblia vizuri, utaona kuna rula mmoja, ndakutumia, ambaye alikuwa anatumia kifua kama William Ruto. Lakini ilifika wakati, akakuwa na kitu inaitwa self-destruction. Now William Ruto, when he will realize, I hope one day he watches these clips, and his people, they stop being petty, kiddish and nonsensical, and start listening with a third eye, and understand the issues we are talking about. Because they are so obsessed with stealing and getting another chance to steal that they don't read between the lines. They should stop hating and start listening, and that can help them change a few things that can help them be even competitive in 2027. Yes. Na
Maraga yuko pale, Matiang'i yuko pale. Mambo ni yeye pia.
We support Maraga. It is his civic duty, it is his right to run for office. Lakini sisi kama jamii tumeweka weight yetu nyuma ya Matiang'i kutoka Kisii. Na Matiang'i is not a candidate of the Kisii community. Matiang'i is a candidate of Kenyans, because hao ndio walianza kumuitisha during the Gen Z movement. Na ukiangalia katika polls, pali ameshinda President William Ruto mainly ni Mount Kenya, yeye ndio leading. Of course Kisii, even Nyanza, ile what I can call Luo Nyanza, amemshinda. Western amemshinda. So he's a Kenyan, he's a candidate of Kenyans. Na mimi nimekuambia, we deal with polls, serious polls. Atufanye siasa hii ya vipindi na propaganda. Hata wewe nimekuambia, ingia taxi hapa mpaka Nation Center, uchukue ingine kutoka Nation Center mpaka Panafric, ingine kutoka Panafric urudi town, uulize that haya, wakati unawekewa mafuta kwa gari, uliza hao watu. Yule anakuserve kwa hoteli, muulize. You will be able to get the feel of Kenyans. Na mimi nawaomba wa Kenya, tuungane. Tusijaribu kugawanyishwa kwa misingi ya kikabila. Tusihadaiwe tena. William Ruto has mastered the art of hoodwinking. But I like the way Kenyans are operating. You moved on. He is still in the past. Keep on focusing on the future. Do not lose hope. Let us not tear our country down. Tungoje 2027. I give you assurance, we will remove them from power and we will transform our country. Na nawasihi, muungane behind the opposition, na muungane behind Fred Matiang'i, ambaye ni candidate ambaye demonstrate that he can transform this country. Forget about these people wa William Ruto na marafiki zake who are trying to create a monster in Rigathi Gachagua by trying kumpaka rangi mbaya, kumfanya nini. He may have his issues, but the state is trying to create him like he's your enemy so that whoever is associated with him, he is not your friend. We are telling you this. Unite behind these people so that we can change this country. Na pia vijana na waomba tuwache maneno ya mihadarati. Let us keep off drugs. Let us unite. Let us look for opportunities. I know it is tiring. It is challenging, but we shouldn't give up on ourselves and even on our country. Thank you.
Asante sana mheshimiwa kwa kuzidi kuzungumza na sisi, na natumai kwamba wale wa Kenya ambao wametazama pale na wale ambao pia watatazama baadaye wataona kile ambacho mheshimiwa ameweza kufanya na kuzungumzia hapa, na hakuna mengi ya kuzungumza. Tutakutafuta wakati mwingine ambapo hupo na wakati mwafaka tuweze kuzungumza mengi zaidi na kiundani, maana nimesikia una ya ndani sana. Asante sana kuzidi kuzungumza na sisi tunakutakia kila laheri na Mwenyezi Mungu akuongoze mahali popote pale unapokwenda.
Mnanibaia lunch?
Naam, ipo usishangaa. Ndio hivyo mpenzi utazamaji, tumekuwa na mbunge kutoka maeneo ya Kitutu Chache South, Anton Kibagendi pale, na leo hii
this morning I will be unfair to you as a house if I just read through. Give me time to come back with a more comprehensive answer. I found that to be quite telling, Mr. Speaker, because when a minister raises alarm on how certain funds are being used, Senator Muma, perhaps at the committee of the whole, we may want to tie up that particular institution and ensure that those funds are actually used for the purpose for which it was meant. These businesses of creating a fund where you're only enriching a few fat cats at ministries, Mr. Speaker, who go for seminars across the world from this one to the other without implementing a single item of the things that they run from these conferences must come to an end. We must put a capping on any of these fundings, particularly sink funds like this one of the tobacco, where monies are realized from a particular product and they need to be used to either respond to the health challenges that arise from the use of that particular product, Mr. Speaker, or to teach citizens on the benefits or otherwise of this product, Mr. Speaker, then that is what it needs to be doing. It cannot be, Mr. Speaker, that you have a fund where if you check what has been their contribution into improving the livelihoods of citizens, Mr. Speaker, it's all about conferences and trips for those that have access to these funds, Mr. Speaker. You need to put a capping, Mr. Speaker. 85%. I've always spoken of the genius of CDF and why CDF continues, and I say this fully aware of the matters that are before us, why it continues to be a darling of the citizens in terms of any public funds, Mr. Speaker. It is because of the capping that has been provided on how much you can use on administrative issues. 2.75% maximum. The rest, over 95%, actual work that can be demonstrated to citizens and says, these are your funds. If we don't have any better use of those resources, take it to the critical illness fund that we created under SHA. Because in any case, at the end of the day, many of the users of this product will eventually burden our public health infrastructure. Therefore, there is no harm, Mr. Speaker, putting those funds into public utility. But to be used, Mr. Speaker, to do the kind of things that I heard Senator Mahanzo say on that particular fund puts to question so many other things, Mr. Speaker. And I hope when Cabinet Secretary Duale returns to this House, he will remember to bring us that response, because while we are actively considering this bill, Mr. Speaker, that is an item that need not disappear to us. I know even other things, colleagues, that in that institution, because they license, and Senator Muma, why we must rejig that institution, is that sometimes it is used to fight corporate wars, where when an entity wants to take domination of a particular product line, they use officers from that agency to either ban or frustrate the growth of their competitors, Mr. Speaker. And that case, or that incident has been recorded on so many occasions, Mr. Speaker, before us, in the media circles, and this is something that should be of concern to us. And therefore, I hope, Mr. Speaker, that because I know we will get the chance to consider all these things, we will reflect on how to administer that particular fund in this space in a better and neater way. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support and hope that we can improve on this legislation to make it better. I thank you.
Senator Eddie Okech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute on the Tobacco Control Amendment Bill 2024. And from the onset, to congratulate Senator Muma, who serves as a member of Speaker's panel. This is a critical. Mr. Speaker, legislation is a moving target. If you have watched a movie called Moving Target or Hard Target, one of the leading lights in that movie, Mr. Speaker, is trying to get a perfect shot, but it gets moving. So in 2007, when our colleague, distinguished members of parliament, and I don't know, Mr. Speaker, you were serving then or not, because I was still fairly young then, that when they legislated, the challenge then was smoking in public, and whether public places could be considered to be smoking. So, Speaker, with the advance of technology, you have to appreciate that going into the future, we'll keep legislating on matters of technology, because these electronic cigarettes, e-cigarettes, Mr. Speaker, I remember when I traveled to the US a few years ago, I was honored to have dinner with one of the senior leaders in this country. And apparently, as we were having chit-chat, that senior leader continued smoking the e-cigarette, and we didn't realize until the smoke was coming out of his nostrils or the mouth. Then we realized, we asked a friend of mine, what is this? I think we were in the famous Manhattan Street in downtown of United Nations Street, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I don't want to name names, but of course, that person smoked, and we didn't find it odd because it was an e-cigarette. The only time we noticed is because of the flavor that was coming out, Mr. Speaker, and we became discomfort after some time. But I think I was also in the wrong company, Mr. Speaker, because a number of us were consuming hard substances that was not definitely soda or water or milk or juice, Mr. Speaker. And after that, when I went back to my hotel room in New Jersey, I had to do serious prayers via phone with my pastor for cleansing after being in that session, which I found it unholy and unfortunate, Mr. Speaker. Well, personally, Mr. Speaker, I've never smoked in my life, and I don't think I will, because of my strict upbringing and religious background, Mr. Speaker, is we have to do what we have to do. There are people who smoke, there are others who don't smoke. But my argument, Mr. Speaker, has been this, that where your right ends, my right also begins. And I think as we legislate, we want to bring decency, discipline within the public forum, Mr. Speaker. We can't legislate on alcoholism, the issue of cigarettes, Mr. Speaker, but I want to appeal and call upon parents that we cannot legislate morals, Mr. Speaker, you are aware. Sometimes values and discipline are instilled by the parents. So even as we legislate, we can't legislate values, we can't legislate discipline, we can't legislate morals, Mr. Speaker. So it behooves us as leaders, as parents, to always be on the lookout so that we don't need to legislate on each and everything, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on this, the e-cigarette, this issue of definition has been given very well. I remember, Mr. Speaker, there was a hue and cry of the consumption of shisha, Mr. Speaker, where people were consuming in public places, and I'm happy the Ministry of Health has given regulation on smoking of shisha, Mr. Speaker. And you know, one funny thing with these people who are taking hard substances, be it cocaine, nicotine, alcohol, smoking cigarettes, Mr. Speaker, few years down the line, they will start M-Pesa pay bill because of lung cancer, Mr. Speaker, and they want to travel to India to receive treatment, Mr. Speaker. So even as we legislate on how to enable people who smoke or drink alcohol or use other hard substances, Mr. Speaker, they should also be sure that the same individuals will burden to 80% the health infrastructure and service in this country, Mr. Speaker. Because after some years, they will get sick because of throat cancer, lung cancer, Mr. Speaker, and after some years, they will go to online and start fundraising through M-Pesa and other platforms of online fundraising, even individual fundraising, because of lack and abuse of e-cigarettes and other. Mr. Speaker, I am in agreement with National Control Against Drug Abuse, NACADA, that the consumption age of alcohol in this country should be raised to 21 years. So, Speaker, I also propose, and I know the mover of the owner of the bill in quotes should consider that the smoking of e-cigarettes or any other form of smoking, including shisha, should be raised to 21 years, as has been proposed by NACADA, Mr. Speaker, so that we can have a society that is well structured, a society that is this. I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, noting the fact that this week we have a number of schools who are your guests who are attending most of these sessions, that we should raise the minimum age of consumption of alcohol and drug abuse or the consumption of e-cigarettes to 21 years, Mr. Speaker. Even, Mr. Speaker, I know there were people that were proposing that the consent of sex should be reduced to 16 years, like some European countries, but also we should raise it to 21 years instead of 18 years, so that we can arrest children marriage, Mr. Speaker, another form of abuse. And I think the Sexual Offences Act, the intent, Mr. Speaker, so that the country can know, is to protect our future generations. It doesn't make sense when you are no longer there for the future of this country in most of the young people. Mr. Speaker, and therefore the definition and vapor and the product, I agree, we need to be careful. When I was growing up, somebody who used to smoke, you could tell them from maybe their lips, Mr. Speaker, the change of the color of their teeth, and also that smell, Mr. Speaker. It's called, with your indulgence, tobacco or graiko, as one of my colleagues has put it on. You could smell from far, and my grandmother used to use the hard one, the one that was being planted in the, and you know, in the past, Mr. Speaker, there was a lot of discipline. There was a certain age where people could consume alcohol, even in Samburu and other parts. It was only senior people with a particular age, and I know it's only in Jurinjeke who are allowed to consume certain part of alcohol and even smoke the cigarette, Mr. Speaker. But unfortunately, everybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry, is smoking nowadays. So, Mr. Speaker, I agree that decency and moral should go back to where we are, because it was only, and I remember when I was growing up, they could get that tobacco dried in the sun, then they do the stuff and they smoke it, Mr. Speaker. I can tell you the pungent smell that used to come, you could not even sleep or even get an oxygen around you. But with this e-cigarette, the challenge is simple. It is easy to carry, Mr. Speaker. It has various flavors. If it is strawberry or vanilla, you will not notice, Mr. Speaker. So I think it is important that labeling. On the issue of taxation, because I'll just make 4 points to seed ground for my colleagues to contribute on the same. I think taxation is very clear. I think Article 114 on money bills, I think this matter has been legislated or interpreted by the Supreme Court. I think there is nowhere in the law that says Senate cannot legislate on things that concern even taxation. Because under Article 210 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, the imposition of taxation says Parliament shall legislate. The reading of Article 93, the definition of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, is the Senate and the National Assembly. And the principle of interpretation, Mr. Speaker, of constitutionalism and constitutional, according to one of my professors, Professor Mutaha Kangu, one of the leading lights of the drafters of the Constitution, is we must interpret the Constitution in a manner, in a cohesive manner. So you cannot tell us in Article 93, Article 210 that parliaments are legislate on the issue of taxation, Then you go back and try and argue under Article 114 on money bills, Mr. Speaker. So this issue of, I agree on periodic review of taxation, progressive taxation. Of course, we don't want a retrogressive taxation, Mr. Speaker. I agree that even in their amendments, we must, in issue of periodic review of taxation, we can always look at finance bill that we normally generate. On the issue of advertisement, Mr. Speaker, I think we should ban the issue of advertising these things, Mr. Speaker. Even during watershed period, I know some people would argue from 10 the children are asleep, but the children of nowadays don't sleep. They fast, Mr. Speaker. They don't sleep because of the nature of our, you know, I don't know, Mr. Speaker, when we were young, we used to sleep by 6. And I was told by my high school teacher, the reason poor people have so many children is because they sleep early. And the only activity they engage, of course, the juries out there will understand. So I don't know, Mr. Speaker, with the current generation, there is television, there is Netflix, there is Amazon. People are watching, and you know, this YouTube, the internet is available. So you cannot say by 10 p.m. these youngsters are asleep. They don't sleep, especially when the schools are closed. So I think we should propose either more stricter, limit the watershed period, maybe between midnight and 4 a.m. in the morning, so that, of course, the Kenyan time, but you cannot also prevent online advertising, Mr. Speaker, because when it is daytime now, it is night in America, or when it is night in America, it is daytime, and there is different time zoning. So I think we must be very strict, Mr. Speaker, in terms of advertisement, and also in terms, I remember on the NACADA, there were proposals on alcoholic control bill, Mr. Speaker. They said they needed to ban there were alcohol that were being sold with polythene bags and small. So I agree that we must limit the sale and the size of that e-cigarette, Mr. Speaker. And the issue of advertisement, I think we need to be careful. I know, Mr. Speaker, we need to balance raising of revenue. Maybe in Nairobi City County, the tobacco or individuals, Mr. Speaker, we are balancing between raising revenue. But I agree in the principle that you tax more luxuries over necessities. And that is why we tax more on alcohol, we tax more on cigarettes, because more are luxuries as opposed as necessities. Let us tax more the luxuries, like e-cigarettes and cigarettes generally, and alcohol, Mr. Speaker, so that we can give tax exemption to necessities like bread, unga, among other, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the third point I wanted to make is the issue of requirements. I think we agree with Senator Muma on the does not exceed 10 milligrams. I agree with this so that you don't, and the issue of health, I remember, Mr. Speaker, when the cigarettes, they used to have a prominent warning before 2007, and I think now, Mr. Speaker, even alcohol. I remember when we were growing up, there was a general, and you know, I want to, free of charge, Mr. Speaker, this is a free advice, to owners of companies and even advertisement agencies, be simple. I used to see before when I say taska bahada ya kazi, with a lot of indulgence, Mr. Speaker. It was a simple, but it encouraged, Mr. Speaker, and it finished a lot of challenges. Even there was another advert in Kiswahili that was used about family planning. Familia bora, jamii bora. You know, let us use things that is easy to sell. So even I find it weird, Mr. Speaker, when you get some of these cigarettes, the warning, they are put it so small that you might need a kaleidoscope or a very magnifying glass to read some of those statements. It should be mandatory that selling and warning should be prominent, Mr. Speaker, and I hope I have seen in a number of removable sticker and many others. Mr. Speaker, number 4, I disagree that Cabinet Secretary have been given sweeping powers, and that is clause number 14C. I think giving one individual, Mr. Speaker, those sweeping powers for approval of sale or manufacture of e-cigarettes, Mr. Speaker, is giving that Cabinet Secretary concern a lot of powers. I think what we should push for is the NACADA as a board to be given powers to approve and sell, manufacture, Mr. Speaker, and also so that NACADA should be given this power of approval, Senator, distinguished Senator Muma. that NACADA should be given opportunity to market. Let us not give powers to cabinet secretaries. You know, Mr. Speaker, I think in the principle of French Revolution, they say absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if you give one cabinet secretary, imagine a cabinet secretary who is too religious, he might decline in approving. And you know, we have even cults like Shakaola and many others. I've seen another one where I'm told that the husband and the wife should not sleep on the same bed, Mr. Speaker, or they should not, the children should not be fed. So if you get a cabinet secretary, God forbid, who doesn't believe in smoking, what will happen? And you know, this is somebody's business, they are Kenyan. So let us not give cabinet secretary a lot of sweeping powers. Let us give it to the board so that it is subjected. Even when you are being declined license, you can appeal, Mr. Speaker. Also on this, even advertisement, an approval process, let us give it to the board called National Control Alcoholic Board, or even another board. There are so many boards that can do it. Even we can come up with a board where Ministry of Health, Cabinet Secretary nominates, NACADA nominates, counties nominates, so that we have a balance, Mr. Speaker, so that Mr. Speaker, I saw there were issue of banning products by Tanzanian government of Kenyan products, Mr. Speaker. I hope they will include also the issue of e-cigarettes and selling among East Africa, Mr. Speaker. While the principle of banning businesses is not good, because it is not good, it violates the East Africa trade protocols, because we need to encourage each other. We need to interdepend. And you saw President William Ruto and President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the elder of East Africa, having a conversation of trade. So what Tanzania did is quite unfortunate, because we live, Mr. Speaker, I know of senior government officials for Tanzania who their children are schooling in Kenya. So if you start creating boundaries like colonials did, Mr. Speaker, you might need to ban even them from getting the schools. I think what they should have banned, Mr. Speaker, is to ban the ill-behaved activists who went to disrupt their peace. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of this is banning because the cabinet secretary, can we put a board? So that, you know, there is unfair competition in business. You remember, Mr. Speaker, I was in a primary campus then, and there was a lot of hue and cry. I know Senator Katuri might have been around then, Mr. Speaker, and there were accusations that members of parliament were being taken by an agency interested with violating the tobacco bill then. They were taken to Mombasa for retreat. And what came out was hue and cry. So we don't want, Mr. Speaker, to give it to one power so that they can abuse. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, is on the issue of advertisement, so that, Mr. Speaker, is on the issue of places. I'm happy that institutions of basic education, so teachers should be aware of this. I know there are a number of teachers who are accompanying students before us. Mr. Speaker, they should be aware. I know some of them might be smoking, Mr. Speaker. They should be aware that you cannot smoke in basic education training, places of worship, of course. Mr. Speaker, I don't think anyone would want to smoke in places of worship, unless that's a different place, because I know mosques and churches, people rarely smoke. The only smoke you are allowed is the smoke of Holy Spirit. Mr. Speaker, on hospitals, clinics, and other health institutions, I think it doesn't make sense, Mr. Speaker, to children's home, children care facility, children playgrounds, I agree. Mr. Speaker, what I found it weird is residential houses. So if the father and mother are smoking, what will happen to the children, and they are living in the same roof? How will we enforce that, Senator Muma? I think you will teach us. Or will the children be reporting that dad and mama are smoking, and therefore, I don't know, it's a bit dicey to implement that one. I don't know what you are thinking around it. Maybe when you do reply, you can educate us. Because I know parents who maybe, in fact, Mr. Speaker, when you go to some family homes, they even have a cabinet. They have prepared a cabinet where they stock hard substances that is not milk or water or anything that is near there. On public service vehicles, Mr. Speaker, I agree. On police cells, Mr. Speaker, I don't know if there is anybody who smokes in police cells. I thought cigarettes are contraband, because I used to chair JLAC, and I was remanded in committee and a number of police stations, Mr. Speaker. I never saw it. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, allow me to support at that point. Thank you.
Before I call the next senator to take on the floor, allow me to make this communication. I'd like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and students from St. Mary Nyangwa Girls Secondary School in Embu County. The delegation comprises 60 students and 4 teachers were in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming guests to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will call upon the Senator for Embu County under 1 minute to extend a word of welcome.
Thank you, Bwana Speaker, kwa kunipa nafasi niweze kukaribisha shule ya ACK St. Mary's Nyangwa Girls kwa hii kikao. Yangu ni kusema wanafunzi mjifunze vizuri, kwa sababu hapa katika Senate unaona kama hapa upande hii kuko na msichana, hata kama ni mama ni senator na ambaye amesomea Embu County. Nataka nimhakikishie kama mtasoma vizuri, wakati mwingine ninyi mtakuwa masenata na pia mtakuwa hata speaker na pia mtakuwa hata rais, lakini mkiweka mchezo hamtapata hizo vitu. Yangu tu ni kumkaribisha hapa. Mambo yetu katika Senate huwa tunaongea mambo ya devolution katika counties, vile pesa inakuja masinani. Kama wakati huyu masenata wamepigania kaunti zote 47, tumepata bilioni 415. Ndio mambo ya masinani, mambo ya agriculture, mambo ya maji na pia vitu zingine iweze kuwa kule masinani. Mambo mengine huwa tunachangia hapa ni vile kama cabinet secretaries wakishindwa kufanya kazi, tunawaleta hapa, tunauliza counties kazi inafanyika namna gani. Kwa hivyo saa hii mmekuta mbilo ambaye inahusikana na mambo ya vitu kama sigara, vitu kama hizo iweze kuwa inalainishwa, na pia mambo mengine amkukuta ni mambo ya dawa ya kulevya na pangi. Mjiepushe hizo vitu, na mkijiepusha wakati mwingine ni nyinyi leaders wa kesho. Kwa hivyo ni karibu Bwana Speaker, unajua huko wakati mmoja wewe ulitembea huko ukiwa mgeni masuburi kwa ile diocese of Mbere. Ni asanti. Kwa hivyo mkirundi Embu County diocese of Mbere, mseme mmeingia pahali ambapo speaker anafanya kazi na masenata wale wengine. Pia Bwana Speaker, kwa dakika moja ningeomba hii senator aweze kuchangia tu, kwa sababu wale wachana wanafunzi waweze kuona ati hata hao wanaweza. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator Mundigi, your request has been declined. Senator Tabitha Mutinda, you may take to the floor to contribute to the bill. While doing so, you may extend a word of welcome to the girls.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, my neighbor, Senator Mundigi, for the kind request. I also want to take this great opportunity to welcome you to this house. It's the upper house, the Senate. I'm a product of St. Anne's Girls Career in Embu County. I pursued my 4 years there. The English that I speak, the excellency that I have, is from the great county of Embu. It's a county that when it comes to matters of education, it's very top-notch. I wish you the best. I wish you excellence. I wish you God's guidance. Respect your teachers and enjoy your studies. God bless you. Mr. Speaker, allow me to start by really thanking our colleague, none other than Senator Catherine Muma, for this great bill, Mr. Speaker, the Tobacco Control Bill. It's a bill, Mr. Speaker, that where we are as a country is really going to change a lot if we correctly implement the changes that need to be implemented, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in Article 1 or 2 of this particular bill, the definition of smoking has really been well defined, Mr. Speaker. And it has also gone to part 2, where it has also talked about the tobacco products. Mr. Speaker, the sponsor of the bill, Senator Kathy, I realized when I went through this bill that our focus was more on the e-cigarette, away from the traditional cigarette, if I would call it like that, the cigarette that has been in the market, that has been there for years. And she's trying to ensure that we legislate correctly and put regulations as far as the e-cigarette is concerned, Mr. Speaker. E-cigarette, Mr. Speaker, in my view, is the synthetic nicotine that has gone through a manufacturing process and that is also smoked in a digital, fancy, classy, modern way by a big market share, and that is the young generation. Mr. Speaker, Part 2 that says that synthetic nicotine formulations intended for use by smoking, inhalation, chewing. Part B has defined the e-cigarette, how it is put into the market. It is through chewing gums, it's through inhalation, sniffing, vaping, sucking, and it comes in forms of tubes, filters, Mr. Speaker, electronic delivery system, Mr. Speaker. And this is where the catch is, because with this kind of gadgets that are already in the market, that our young people are using, Mr. Speaker, you realize there is no regulation on these e-cigarettes, Mr. Speaker. They have flooded the market, they are already here, but they have no control. Anybody, even children as young as 10 years, have access to these particular cigarettes, have access and are able to easily, within their friendship circles, be able to show each other how to be able to use this, Mr. Speaker, which, Mr. Speaker, it has enhanced penetration of the product into the market massively with minimal control, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if this product is today allowed to continue the way it is, where it is today, Mr. Speaker, we will be allowing our children to continue accessing a product that not only affects them in the health manner, in terms of we know what cigarettes do or what nicotine does to the health system, it's very endangering. The sad part is that its accessibility to the young people is sort of 100% today as we speak. Mr. Speaker, as I looked at the bill, still clause 2, part C, talks about characteristics of flavors. And the bill has defined and talked about the issue of flavors, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these products, when I've Googled them, I find that they have different flavors. For example, we have strawberry, we have vanilla, all those kind of sweet flavors. And these flavors are the ones that are bringing the desire, are also enhancing the young people to keep on purchasing these products, and also are making it difficult for the guardians and the parents to be able even to know if their kids are smoking. As compared to the old cigarette or the traditional cigarette, Mr. Speaker, if you smoke a traditional cigarette, definitely you can be able to have a feel of the air or smell of the air that this person was smoking something. But with the e-cigarette, because of the sweet flavors that are in place, it is very difficult for a parent or a guardian to even know if their kid has started indulging in this particular type of cigarette. And so in my view, Senator Kathy, this issue of flavor should be scrapped off. The e-cigarette should retain its traditional nicotine. The e-cigarette should have that original smell of the nicotine so that it becomes easy to be able to identify when these young people are smoking these products, or even those adults that are smoking, because we've seen adults who are also changing from the traditional nicotine to the e-cigarette, and it becomes sometimes difficult for even someone to be able to identify that this person is actually smoking anything. So the flavors the bill should actually allow that these flavors should be no more, should not be actually allowed to be part of the product that is in the market, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I continue, there's the other issue of regulation. Today, as we speak, the traditional cigarette has regulations. The Act is very clear, actually. There is a ban that you cannot buy just one stick of the cigarette. You have to buy it in a full packet. It's never sold as a single stick. It is sold in a full packet. 2, it is not just sold anywhere. It is sold in a designated, like when we go to the supermarkets, you find that it is in just one area for above 18, where there is alcohol and cigarettes are put there. That's where they are actually secluded. They are put in a different place. These are some of the regulations that are in place. So the regulation for the e-cigarette should be a different regulation. There should be regulation in regards to the e-cigarette separate from the traditional cigarette. These regulations should be separated, because those years when we did the Tobacco Act, the e-cigarette was not in place. So we cannot assume and say the same regulations that are in place for the traditional cigarette should be the same that should be used for the e-cigarette that is in place, Mr. Speaker. So they have to have the synthetic nicotine and the traditional nicotine need to all have their own separate regulations, because they are different products. As much as the end product is nicotine, but the placement or the way the product has been packaged is very different. So it can't have similar regulations. Part 6, Mr. Speaker, Section 12 of this bill, Part A, Part B, talks about implementation of tax policies where appropriate, the prices, the policies, tobacco products, and all that. Mr. Speaker, when I looked at these 6A, 2, 3, and 1, talks about the issue of taxation. And I would prefer, or I would advise, my opinion would be that the issue of taxation be dealt with by Treasury. If room is opened in terms of the amount of nicotine milligram per milliliter, that there be different, taxations, then there might be corruption that might be brought, whereby the manufacturers might be able to indicate a lower milligram so that to pay lesser taxation, but in the real sense, probably it is on a higher level. So when it comes to the issue of taxation of the policies and all that of the e-cigarette, let National Treasury be able also to guide with the same guidance that they have also done as far as the alcohol products are concerned, because of course there is a way, there is a policy that is in place currently. Definitely is a policy in regards to the traditional nicotine. So as far as this e-cigarette, let it not be so separate from how things should be, or how National Treasury has been doing and advising as far as the issue of taxation is concerned, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I continue to read the bill, I came across the issue of the product approval and testing, Mr. Speaker. And the mover of the bill, Senator Kathy, talked about that Ministry of Health does the approval, the testing, and all that. But in my view, Mr. Speaker, the testing of nicotine, the standardization should be done by the Kenya Bureau of Standards, KEBS, Mr. Speaker, because they are the ones who have the machinery. They are the ones who have the technical know-how, who have the skills, who have the personnel to be able to guide when it comes to the issue of the standard of the e-cigarette, Mr. Speaker. Then there is the other point when it comes to approval by the ministry. That is okay, Senator Kathy. That would make sense because after the standards have been done by KEBS, who are mandated to guide in terms of the standards, then that should now be approved by the ministry. The ministry now will be left with the issue of just approval, but not with the issue of testing, Mr. Speaker. And further to that, I saw on, this part is which one, Mr. Speaker? It's, I saw a 50% of the amount that is going to be paid for either testing or approval. Yes, Part 4. Part 4 ADA, 50% of the fees paid for testing and approval for products under Section 14E. Now, in my view, Mr. Speaker, today we have budget for the Tobacco Board that is provided for by the National Treasury, and not in small amounts, billions, Mr. Speaker. And this money, or this fund, is used to for awareness and all those kind of things, and we really do not see much happening. And from where we are, we know the disadvantages of smoking, we know the disadvantages of tobacco, we know the health issues that come also with smoking, Mr. Speaker. What am I trying to say? Mr. Speaker, the 50% that the sponsor has suggested, that is the fee that is being paid for testing or approval, now, an amendment should be which suggests that this 50% can be added to SHA as a health insurance fund, but narrowing it to the cases of either lung cancer and things like that, the diseases that are brought about by smoking, Mr. Speaker. This fund will be able to help that the people who, become sick, get the effects of smoking and all that, this fund can be able to help them in their health, whatever sector, instead of this money again be given to the board for them to keep on doing an awareness that we don't even no longer see. We don't even know what they really are doing. Because even when the e-cigarette came into the market, we've not seen the tobacco board do anything. We've not seen them come out, talk about it. They've not seen them giving guidance to the young people as far as the effects of this tobacco is concerned, Mr. Speaker. So this 50% should be added to SHA so as to be able to help as far as the funding for the health insurance is concerned, Mr. Speaker. The other thing I noticed, Mr. Speaker, is on the nicotine volume levels. Yes, Part 14B. A person shall not manufacture or place on the market nicotine pouches unless nicotine content of pouch does not exceed 10 milligram and such. Mr. Speaker, I agree with the mover on this because 10 milligram per milliliter of nicotine is a small amount. But when this amount is more, it's a lot, then it will make the smoker be able to, inhale more, and actually by the end of the day will have inhaled a lot than maybe he or she intended to. But when it is at 10 milligram per milliliter of nicotine, then it is a lesser amount. The cost, of course, will be high, because the manufacturers will have to package it at that 10 mg. And then, so the cost of production will also be high. But who are we taking care? We are taking care the end user. So the cost is higher. So you find that the purchase will also be minimized. Unlike when it is more, when it is 20 and above, you'll find that the cost definitely will be minimal, Mr. Speaker. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, the regulations as far as the pouches are concerned, the pouches that are being used should not be disposable, because disposable products will be easy to find in the market. The cost of a disposable material is less. So it makes the product even lesser. But non-disposable are expensive. So the higher the cost of this particular product, the lesser the accessibility to market. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of hawking, the issue of online sales, the issue of advertisement. As we speak today, the Tobacco Act is very clear that tobacco should not be advertised. It's against the law. So what makes it different with the e-cigarette, which still has nicotine? It should not be advertised. There should not be online sales. There should not be hawking of this particular product, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, we will not be sorting the problem. We will be encouraging the young people easy access for this product, online delivery and all that, Mr. Speaker, for this particular product. It should be restricted the same way the traditional cigarette right now as we speak is very restricted. The smoking areas, Mr. Speaker, I've seen, she has stipulated very well. We don't smoke in the public, churches, even here in this particular chamber. It doesn't happen. There are designated places and areas. The same should apply. Because we see on the road, you're walking in the streets of this beautiful country, the capital city of Nairobi, the one that I represent, Mr. Speaker, and you see someone removing a small, beautiful, nice gadget that looks like a lip gloss for us ladies. Someone sniffs something, puts it back, and just what you just sing on the air, Mr. Speaker, it is smoke that is just left on the air. So the areas for smoking should be adhered to, should be designated as required. And so I think with those many few remarks, I hope I haven't, yes, let me finalize on the issue of NACADA. I agree with what Senator Cheryl Guy spoke about in terms of NACADA. All these things should not be left to the Ministry of Health. Ministry of Health has a lot to do. We have the issues of share that are happening. We have the killings that are happening in Kenyatta National Hospitals, which we are totally condemning, and many other things that the Ministry of Health, as we speak today, is trying to streamline, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, I had a statement trying to question whereby we have the county staff still working in their private clinics. The DHA should be in this public hospital, and they are paying their salary. So that work should be some responsibilities, some duties should be done by NACADA board. They should be there to be able to assist in terms of ensuring that these policies are implemented. I know this bill coming from the Senate, there are county issues whereby the county offices should be able to have offices that help in the licensing. That is also revenue to the counties, and also it narrows down as far as at the county level is concerned. With those many and few, Mr. Speaker, I fully support and congratulate Senator Kathy for this great bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next is Senator William Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also rise and support this particular amendment bill, Tobacco Control Bill by Senator Muma. Honorable Speaker, I know you and myself are not, we have never smoked, my dear. We are not smokers, maybe something else. I just wanted to say that, you know, in the past, 80s, 70s, when we were very young children, 80s when we were in primary school and high school and even in the university days, Honorable Speaker, you know, smoking was, actually, it was almost like not there. You would see one or two people smoking. When we were in primary school, even in high school, even our teachers who used to smoke, you would never see them smoking. Maybe in the staff room or wherever. But I don't know what has happened of late, Honorable Speaker, that this thing has become almost fashionable for people to smoke, and especially this new one now called e-cigarette, Honorable Speaker, which is endangering the lives of our youth, Honorable Speaker. You know, the regulations that are already there in place is for the traditional cigarette that we used to see. There were two companies within the country that used to manufacture cigarettes before we got the imported ones, Honorable Speaker, and regulations were put in place to ensure. We want to thank that particular member of parliament, Honorable Speaker, who came up with that particular law where designated smoking areas are put across. You go to CBD, you'll see 2 or 3 places designated for smoking. You can't see just people smoking on the streets. There used to be a lot of cigarette filters all over the towns and cities in this country before that law came into effect, Honorable Speaker. So this particular law then is coming now to regulate the e-cigarette that has not been regulated, Honorable Speaker, and especially in terms of selling. I agree with my colleague that you know, Senator Muma has now come in to redefine, to give a proper definition of smoking and many others, especially in the advent of this e-cigarette, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I know it's not easy to, legislate morals, but there is a way that we can legislate at least to reduce or to minimize the use of these products, Honorable Speaker. If you check, Honorable Speaker, on clause 4, where my colleagues have said 50% of the fees for testing should be put in a particular fund, even if it is share, so it can go into the critical illness, Honorable Speaker, or even prevention. We should not just target to say these particular funds or resources, when we get them, it should not target just strictly those with diseases related to smoking, but we should also target it to other areas. Look at the NACADA. We're talking about NACADA, Honorable Speaker. NACADA was formed to sort out issues with drug abuse, with cigarettes. But if you go across our towns, especially in the villages, Honorable Speaker, you will see mushrooming of sale of second generation of alcohol across the country. I was very surprised this last Sunday, Honorable Speaker. We had to destroy a lot of crates and bottles of Janga and second generation alcohol. This is just pure, even Honorable Speaker, that should not be in the market, Honorable Speaker. So these particular resources should be channeled to ensure that basically those associated, we can support, share in this particular area by giving them resources, so that those who come up with chronic diseases related to this, either alcohol or cigarette and e-cigarette, Honorable Speaker, should be assisted, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also want to discuss clause 4C, Honorable Speaker, clause 14C. A person's, just hold on, Mr. Speaker, there is something that I saw here that catches my eye, Honorable Speaker, that we need to look at it. Sit clause 6, Honorable Speaker, clause 14J, Honorable Speaker of the bill, that a person shall not produce or supply tobacco products containing vitamins or additives that create the impression that a tobacco product has an health benefit or presents reduced health risk. Honorable Speaker, you know, these are the additives that the flavors of the e-cigarette. You know, these manufacturers, they put in some sweet additives to attract the youth, to attract the smokers, to say, it's nice. You know, it feels nice to smoke and inhale this particular. So this, we should completely ban any additives that will be put, any flavors that will be put in the e-cigarettes and even the other cigarettes, so that the smoker knows this is the original flavor, this is how this thing is, and they should know the dangers that are involved with this particular e-cigarette, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we also, online, when you go to online sales, there is no particular restriction on age. You know, when they advertise, it is not sold to the people below 18 years. But Honorable Speaker, when the youth buy these things online, there is nowhere in the application where age is indicated. So we need to ensure when online applications are developed to sell either alcohol or cigarettes and e-cigarettes, there should be a mandatory age field, so that if both age and ID, so that if somebody doesn't have an ID or below 18 years, the system should not allow them to procure these things online, Honorable Speaker, because this is where the danger is. I know currently, in the current status, alcohol and cigarettes are sold maybe in supermarkets in a restricted area, and the shops are not open until maybe 10 a.m. after around 11 p.m. But also, we need to ensure that these cigarettes, as colleagues have said, we can push the time, especially in terms of advertisements, maybe during the watershed period, which you said maybe 10 to around 6 in the morning. We can push it to midnight, to around 4, because as it's been alluded in this particular house, Honorable Speaker, the youth now don't sleep like ourselves. The way we used to sleep by 8 or 9, then you wake up at 5 or 6. They sleep late. They are online all the time, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this watershed period should be reviewed so that, Honorable Speaker, these particular adverts are done within the times that we believe everybody is asleep, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, clause 15 of the bill, subsection 33 of the Principal Act is amended by, Honorable Speaker, the areas, the mover of the bill, Honorable, or the sponsor of the bill, Honorable Speaker, has given us the areas where e-cigarettes will not be smoked, Honorable Speaker, and this is right. Number 1, institutions of basic education and training, places of worship, hospitals, clinics, and other areas, children's homes, child care facilities, residential houses, and other premises where children are cared for. So this is at the moment, this is where it is tricky. You know, so residential areas, as colleagues have said, you know, there are parents who are smokers. So how will we enforce this particular clause? You need to relook at this and maybe reward it, because maybe if people are smoking and they smoke at home, you don't know, there is no one to police them. It's the choice. You know, it's the right. You know, the people also have their own rights, Honorable Speaker. Public service vehicles, which I believe this one has been enforced on the traditional cigarettes, public passenger vehicles, school buses, vans, commercial passenger vehicles, commuter boats, varies, and the others. Police cells. I think we should also bring here, I've seen prisons also. I know prisons is there. Smoking is prohibited in the following areas except in designated areas. Maybe this is because of maybe the employees, but I believe prisoners, while in prison, the right to smoke, they may not have that right, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is a progressive bill. We need to support it. And while supporting it, we need to find a way of increasing the capacity or building capacity for NACADA, because NACADA has been here for a long time, but the effects, we still have a lot of issues with the addiction, both alcohol, both cigarettes, and even drugs, Honorable Speaker. You go across all our towns in the country, Madam Honorable Speaker, the consumption of alcohol, the abuse of alcohol is very high, Honorable Speaker. That's why we are saying NACADA need to build capacity. They need to have officers across, even up to constituency level. I don't know, it's like at the current moment, they're only at the county level. And they are not able to assist our youth because, maybe because of resources. But I believe with the passage of this bill, they should be able to get additional resources, build capacity, employ more youth, because we have a big problem of unemployment. So basically, we need to use, we can even use volunteers, Honorable Speaker, and apart from that, they also need NACADA, in conjunction with the county governments, set up rehabilitation centers across all our county headquarters, both for male and women, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on regulations, I also agree with my colleagues that we should not give too much powers to the CS for L to do basically regulations. We let us empower NACADA to do regulations. Let them be the ones issuing licenses, so that, my Honorable Speaker, so that they can get additional resources. If NACADA decline a license, at least the business community will have a second level to appeal to the CS to review the reasons why they have not been granted the license, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I want to say that we need to urge ourselves as a country. We need to do a reflection. What is it that we are not doing right that our youth are engaging in this serious and dangerous act of overindulging both in drugs, both in alcohol? And it was not like this before. We need to talk to our religious leaders. We need to go back. We need to go back to basics. Can we go to our churches? Can we go to our mosques? Can we go to our tabernacles and talk to the youth? The need to go back to basics, and then we follow, we get good values, so that at least we don't lose generation. Because with this trend, Honorable Speaker, we will, in the near future, may not have a generation who will come after us and build this great country called Kenya because of addiction of alcohol, addiction of cigarettes, and this particular one called E. You can imagine this is not nicotine. I thought nicotine is banned in Kenya. Well, you know, when we prescribe small quantities, slowly, you know, they can say it is 10 milligram, but in real sense, what they are packaged could not be that 10 milligram. It could be more, because we will not have the policing to go and check every cigarette. And you know the way Kenyans are very innovative. As soon as a product is out in the market, you will see a lot of counterfeit of the same product, but very dangerous product that can kill. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
What did you say, Senator Kisan?
I said, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Next is Senator Wakiri Hilali. Kiprotich Sigei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was actually expecting the Honorable Senator Kisang to confirm that the statement he made was by default owing to the presence of Senator Mutinda standing next to the Speaker. But nonetheless, I believe that was sorted out. I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me the opportunity to contribute to this very important and timely bill. I would like to appreciate Senator Catherine Muma for taking her time, doing the research, and pushing through the system to make sure that this timely bill is published and has now gotten an opportunity to have it debated in the floor of the House. This is a very timely bill, and Senator Catherine Muma, it is a confirmation of the interest and the attention that you have personally taken to make sure that despite the challenges that we have experienced as a country, as a global world and village, there is need to still fight out to make sure that though there are so many possible protests and challenges as against regulation of this particular product, there is still a window like what we are trying to do by this legislation to regulate in order to protect the future generation, not only of our own generation here in Kenya, but beyond. And Mr. Speaker, the Tobacco Control Act was first enacted in the year 2007, and it was reviewed in 2012. We are therefore, Mr. Speaker, talking about a period of over 10 years. That 10-year period, Mr. Speaker, has definitely given into so many changes in terms of value system within the society, in terms of the exposure of our generations, the young ones, including the availability of the changing trends in market and marketing for products, which products include tobacco, the traditional one, and of course the present product that is nicotine and other such related products, which previously the law did not regulate in any way. And this bill, Senator Catherine Muma, I tell you, is timely, is something that we have got to run through it, if possible, within the legislative system of this House, as well as the stakeholders, who I know, as you stated yesterday while you were moving the bill, indicated that there is definitely going to be a lot of marketing as against the passage of these amendments. I know we still have got a good number of good souls and Kenyans who will definitely support such an informed amendment to the law. It's also not lost that the government over time has enhanced the enforcement of the existing law, only that sometimes, notwithstanding such laws being in place, there are gaps whereby, even though there are certain proposed enforcement, there is a possibility that not every effort is to achieve the desired intentions by the enforcing government. And Mr. Speaker, alive to the fact that there is, of course, a decline in the market, in the use of the traditional product of tobacco smoking by adults, there is an enhanced utilization of the emerging products, which are nicotine products, vapes, or such related. And it's not because of anything, it's because of what I said. There is changing trends in values. Marketing is also all over. And beyond that, there is also the packaging, which is not highly regulated. And so the effort by this bill is to make sure that we advance at least some regulation, especially in this emerging utilization of product, nicotine, and related products. Mr. Speaker, specifically now to the provisions of the bill. First of all, Senator Catherine, I believe that mostly the introduction of the various amendments which you've made will also expand to align most of them to the various definitions of the Constitution. For instance, under the various clauses starting from clause 5, there is a general reference to the minister. In this case, that will mean, therefore, we have got to seek to amend to reflect what a minister currently is, being a cabinet secretary. That's running all the way from clause 3. I've picked from clause 3, clause 5, clause 8, and henceforth. But specifically, for example, the provision which you've proposed to amend clause 8, section 8, that is clause 5. Section 8 in the Principal Act. And Mr. Speaker, it is not going to be possible to debate and make certain proposals on this particular bill without cross-referencing it with the Principal Act. And I'm very alive to the fact that these several proposals have actually been cross-referenced. When you look at the provisions of Section 8, Section 8 talks about a fund, of course, which this is the tax pricing and policies on the market or on licensing of this particular product. And I believe the introduction of clause DA, where the proposed amendment seeks to ensure that there is need for publication of an annual report for purposes of ensuring research, advancement of certain programs, as well as creation of an impact of such particular programs. This way, Mr. Speaker, I believe once this amendment passes, if an institution that is mandated to run these programs is required equally to publish the report, we'll be able to have action points. We will be able to know that following the provisions that have been done by this institution, certain action points were made if they were enforced. And this is the one that will support the government to ensure that enforcement achieves certain proposals which have been made, and of course, in terms of ensuring that it achieves the intended purpose. That is a welcomed proposal, and we will be looking at how would the institution enforce the proposals which have been made by such publication of regular or periodical reports. The proposal under Section 14, which is Clause 7, on the Principal Act, clause 7 is on the conformity of the requirements. The introduction of amendments, or rather new subsection 14A, running all the way to 14J. Yes, running all the way from 14A to 14J is a welcome move. And Senator Muma, this is very important because the Principal Act does not reach out in terms of its provision as to the consequences of nonconformity with the provisions of the Act. And under 14A, the quantity and the content of the nicotine in a product is provided for here, such that if there is a product that has been marketed and it doesn't meet the provisions it didn't provide in the previous law, and now the introduction of 14A will make sure that this is achieved, and therefore the marketing of such a product or the manufacturing in itself will be required to have complied with the provisions of 14A. 14B talks about the packaging or manufacturing for purposes of marketing these products. And this is where I believe it's the gist of these proposed amendments, because we are talking about under 14B, that is the pouches that are supposed, or rather a person shall not manufacture or place on the market nicotine pouches unless such pouches are child tamper-proof and can be used without spilling their contents. Beyond that, the provisions henceforth ensures that we protect the young ones, we protect our children from being availed products which they can misuse, especially because of their age. Approval of tobacco products, information to be contained in the request for approval is a welcome proposal. And in particular, the proposal under 14E on the submission and testing of samples. Samples will be required to be availed, to be tested, and if they meet the quality, that is the only time that they can be licensed to be placed in the market. And it therefore means the control is enhanced to the extent that whatever is permitted to the market has already gone through the procedures that allows it to be utilized or to be placed in the market for sale. 14F talks about a period within which the Cabinet Secretary is required to communicate in writing to the decision that the Minister has made in a request for approval for a product to go to the market. The provision that is seeking to have the Minister have 90 days, this is for Senator Catherine, 90 days seems to be a bit long, especially if the application is by someone who is a manufacturer. I propose that you consider amending that 90-day period to a lesser period for purposes of ensuring that whoever has tried to manufacture this product wants to take it to the market is allowed to maybe enhance the quality or quantity or packaging to comply with the law, and 90-day period will be a little bit longer. Similarly, the punitive the creation of an offense under 14G for someone who contravenes the provision of the section, 1 million or 5% of the person's gross turnover, to me, is a bit lenient. I propose that you enhance this to make it more punitive, because what we are desiring in this law is to ensure that we restrict as much as possible this product to go to the market, because once it's out there in the market, the control mechanism is not as easy as it is attempted by the law. The requirement that Cabinet Secretary to ban such product which does not conform to the market, to the requirements of the Act, Senator Catherine, should be compulsory. Please amend to reflect that the Cabinet Secretary shall ban that product if the product does not conform with the requirements of this Act. If you allow the discretion, that discretion can be misused, especially because of what we all know to be the trend in terms of the resource mobilization that the manufacturers, marketers, or traders in this particular kind of business can do. Under the requirement of Section 14J, this is what it provides: a person shall not produce or supply tobacco products containing vitamins or other additives that create the impression that a tobacco product has a health benefit or presents reduced health risks. This is a very good provision. And I want to agree with colleagues who've said, if there is a way in which we can completely ban additives or flavors in this particular product, the better, because the more the flavors, the lesser the possibility of even appreciating that someone is smoking. Because we are looking at how we can support our young ones. If the flavors can distort the smell, can distort the appreciation by an individual of someone smoking, I would rather even we amend this law to completely ban the flavors of the products which are allowed to be put in the market. Mr. Speaker, under the provisions of the proposed amendment to Section 15, Section 15 of the Principal Act, Mr. Speaker, talks about the age limit being a youngster who is not an adult, be someone below 18 years of age. The proposed amendment, which seeks to delete subsection 5 and substitute thereof, does not specifically make reference to the period, or rather the age of 18. I propose that that be introduced, but more importantly, in this particular proposal, the Principal Act, which I propose for Senator Muma to relook at, is to ensure that the Principal Act provision under Section 15.2, that talks about a fine that can be levied on someone who has sold tobacco product or nicotine products to a child of age 18 and below, is only liable when found guilty to a fine of 50,000 and imprisonment of 6 months, not less than 6 months. This is a very critical provision, because if one can sell 6 months or 50,000 is too minimal a fine that will not in any way be a deterrence at all. And those who are involved in this market have resources, they have sufficient resources, and they will definitely sell to the young ones, knowing very well that if at all they are got up with the law, they can just walk away by paying 50,000 fine, and sometimes even making sure that they intentionally do it because they want to market their product, they want to sell, they want to make profit, and they wouldn't care because 50,000 Kenya shillings as fine is not punitive enough to be a deterrent to those who are trading in this market. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, as I said, this is a timely amendment to the Tobacco Control Act 2007, and I support and request that additional proposed amendments which have been proposed by members be put in place to ensure that this achieves the objective that we're looking at, supporting and making sure that we protect the future, because the future is the young people who are actually highly targeted by this market product that we have, which we are seeking to control. With those very many remarks, or very few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support and I want to once again applaud Senator Muma for this particular amendment. I thank you.
Thank you. Indeed, next is Senator Moses Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the amendments to the Tobacco Control Act as proposed by Senator Catherine Muma. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the global dynamics of regulation and control of e-cigarettes across the world, Africa has been a free-for-all. It has been a market where anyone can come in with electronic cigarettes, anyone can distribute them, and there are no regulatory barriers. There are no strict regulatory requirements. As a result, Mr. Speaker, our children have found it easier to access e-cigarettes, much more easier than it is to access the traditional cigarettes. It is becoming a serious problem, and those of us who are parents, sometimes we hear stories in boarding schools that children are sneaking in with e-cigarettes. They're very difficult to detect. They do not emit the traditional smoke. You know, in the old days, if you had some naughty boys smoking cigarettes in the toilets, the pungent smell of the cigarette would call in the teachers immediately. But with e-cigarettes, it is very possible for people to smoke for children to access these products without consequences being meted upon them. Mr. Speaker, Senator Muma has made proposals to ensure that electronic nicotine delivery systems are regulated and that advertising of tobacco products is regulated and that the sale of tobacco products, including electronic nicotine delivery systems, to persons under the age of 18 is prohibited. And further, Senator Muma has proposed that these electronic nicotine delivery systems should not be manufactured, distributed, imported, or sold in Kenya without the prior authorization of the Cabinet Secretary responsible for health. Mr. Speaker, this is necessitated by the current situation where the markets are open and anyone can bring in these electronic nicotine delivery systems without paying taxes, without their quality being vouched for, and without the health impacts being looked at. Mr. Speaker, there are countries that have placed outright bans on electronic nicotine delivery systems. One such country is India. India has said, no, we are not going to subject our population to this novelty. Another country that has put in very tight restrictions is Australia. And in Australia, some of these electronic nicotine delivery systems are classified as therapeutic solutions, such that to access them, you will need a prescription, and you can only access them from a pharmacy. Other countries, Mr. Speaker, have imposed a blend of restrictions, ranging from age restrictions, ranging from advertising restrictions, and even content restrictions. In Kenya, we have not had any restriction whatsoever, and so it has been a wild, wild west when it comes to abuse of this novelty. Mr. Speaker, we must take a multi-pronged approach to this particular subject. One of the greatest ironies is that Kenya is a producer of tobacco, and tobacco growing goes on in Western Kenya, particularly Nyanza, and more so the areas of Migori, especially the areas around Kuria. Tobacco is a big economic crop there. And so you find that 36,000 farmers, according to latest reports, rely on tobacco growing for sustenance. And about 13,500 hectares of land has been put under tobacco cultivation. Mr. Speaker, perhaps we need to have a conversation on how to transition these communities to healthier products, because in any case, it has not been established that tobacco growing has led to wealth and has increased the lot of those who practice tobacco growing. When you move around those areas, you can stare poverty straight in the eye, and yet you have farmers who dedicate and break their backs trying to produce tobacco, which eventually ends up in certain value chains that mess up the health of our people and put an inordinate burden on the health systems in this country. And so, whereas we could argue that we produce tobacco in Kenya, but it is possible to transition our farmers into healthier products. And Mr. Speaker, where tobacco grows, sunflower can grow, a lot of other products like soya, avocado, etc. can grow. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, that the best solution is not to have policemen running around with rungus and handcuffs running after tobacco smokers, but to have a comprehensive policy that is designed to prevent and designed to address the root causes of tobacco consumption and tobacco abuse in this country. Mr. Speaker, the tobacco lobby is extremely strong. I've been in this parliament and I've seen instances where we have made proposals to amend the Tobacco Control Act, and you'll find people who work for the tobacco companies hanging around the parliamentary lounge, hanging around the parliamentary restaurant, and trying to talk members of parliament against making certain proposals. They always argue that because of syntax and excessive excise duty that is imposed on tobacco products, that it is such a critical economic factor that we should not be interfering with it. But, Mr. Speaker, we must balance the economics with the long-term health impacts. I want to support this proposed amendment because ultimately we must put in regulation and we must prescribe a certain regulatory or statutory framework for these electronic nicotine delivery systems. Mr. Speaker, as we do it, we must also be conscious of certain trends that are going on that we might not be able to catch as Parliament and that we might not even be able to catch as parents. Mr. Speaker, marijuana has been illegal in this country for the longest time. Its consumption, its distribution, its sale has been illegal. And yet it is still widely available in the country. The chiefs know where it is, the administration police know where it is, and it has become a cash cow. The administrators at the village level, from the village elders all the way up, they know where the marijuana is grown. They know who the peddlers are. But because it sustains a criminal enterprise, we cannot be able to get rid of it. Mr. Speaker, young people have now transitioned from smoking it to eating it. There is an emerging trend of weed cookies, Mr. Speaker, that are easily found online, that are easily found in urban centers, easily found in entertainment spots. You are eating a cookie, you think it's just a normal cookie, and yet it is laden with illegal products and illegal substances that have got a dangerous effect on our health. How are we going to be able to catch up? How are we going to be able to keep up with our young people? How are we going to be able to keep up with the criminals who are intent on using innovative approaches to escape the established laws? Mr. Speaker, beyond the weed cookies, there is what they are calling e-weed. And these devices, the same devices that can be used to deliver nicotine electronically, can also be used to deliver cannabis electronically. And Mr. Speaker, we need to ensure that when we do legislation, it is as broad as possible. But ultimately, it is not legislation that is going to help us. We must reset our moral fabric. We must reset our moral compass as a country. We must ask ourselves, what are the underlying reasons that would drive a young person who has been in the church choir all the childhood ages, has been a pathfinder, has been an altar boy, and then all of a sudden, at the age of 13, 14, they decide to go into some of these activities, which the parents did not train them to do. Why? Is it because of overexposure to the media? Is it because of overexposure to advertising? Do we have advertising systems and advertising algorithms that trap our children into certain consumptive behavior? Mr. Speaker, the story is told of Japan. Originally, Japan was a tea-drinking nation. Japanese never drank coffee for a long time. And when the big coffee multinationals came into Japan, they were unable to penetrate the market. They were unable to sell. They got a child psychologist to develop for them an advertising campaign. And Mr. Speaker, what this child psychologist did was to try and put coffee in children's food from an early age. So you've got coffee-flavored infant formula. You've got coffee-flavored candy. You've got coffee-flavored chewing gum. And so children started getting the idea of the feel and the taste of coffee from an early age. It took only one generation, Mr. Speaker, for coffee to dominate as the biggest beverage in Japan. And it almost overtook tea. Why? Because they exploited the psychology of children. We must look carefully at even the advertising space in this country. Are we having adverts that are enslaving our children? And Mr. Speaker, it goes beyond what Ezekiel Mutua used to do when he was in the Field Classification Board, declaring something pornographic, declaring something ungodly. We must have scientific approach and scientific vetting of the marketing campaigns in this country, because I believe, Mr. Speaker, they make it look like it's cool to smoke, and so the kids want to smoke. When you look at Hollywood movies, Mr. Speaker, the star is always smoking. When you look at many of these sitcoms, you find a parent is smoking in the presence of children. and our children grow up thinking that it is cool, it is fashionable. That is where we need to prune. That is where we need to cut. Because, Mr. Speaker, if we do not deal with the perverse influences, the perverse advertising, and the perverse glorification of alcohol and cigarettes that we see in mainstream media, our children will find themselves enslaved by it. Mr. Speaker, regulating morals is extremely difficult. What some countries have done is to try to ride the tiger. And Mr. Speaker, there is an ongoing conversation now related to what we are discussing on a policy for regulation and control and distribution of alcohol in this country. Mr. Speaker, we have seen a lot of proposals coming up that will make it very, very difficult for young people to access alcohol and for alcohol to be widely accepted. But, Mr. Speaker, let us be fair. Let us be honest with each other. If someone at 18 is mature enough to vote, then that person can make other decisions in their lives. If you're going to be pushing these ages higher, then you'd rather say that you start voting at 21, you start driving at 21, because that is the age where you can have alcohol or you can have nicotine products. We must be careful around these things. And Mr. Speaker, certain countries have built entire economies on some of these products, of course, ensuring that there is quality and there is consistency in their production. Mr. Speaker, Cuban cigars are very famous, and they fetch good money. They built a brand around it. But building a brand around it does not mean that it is abused domestically, because a Cuban cigar is so expensive that an average Cuban worker cannot afford it and cannot smoke it for leisure. So it has been positioned as a luxury product. Other countries have done similar with alcoholic products. Mr. Speaker, the French have their cognac, and they talk of cognac diplomacy. When you meet a French diplomat and you are given the choice between cognac and scotch, they will insist on cognac because it tells the story of the French. They have their champagne that only comes, the grapes come from only one part of that country, and they have made it to become a luxury product, not accessible to the hoi polloi, but they sell it to us. They sell it to the upper classes of third world countries. When you go to Scotland, the Scotch have their Scotch whiskey, and they have branded it to an extent that one would want to drink the oldest. Mr. Speaker, you find someone drinking a 50-year-old whiskey, and themselves are not even 50 years by age, because it has been branded, and psychologically we have been made to believe that this is it. When you have made it in life, you should not be drinking 12-year-old whiskey, you should be drinking 50-year-old whiskey. If you go to America, they've got their bourbon. Mr. Speaker, even our neighbors, Uganda, they've got their waraji. Tanzania, they've got their konyagi. Nigeria, they've got their ogogoro. And you can scan the entire world. Jamaica, they've got their rum. Certain countries like South Africa are famous for their wine that comes from the Stellenbosch region. Mr. Speaker, we must mix, we must blend between making sure that we build products that can build our economy, but also ensuring that the adverse and perverse effects, our citizens are shielded from it. Mr. Speaker, I know that you are a man who loves literary works, and I want to invite the House to read a very interesting story by Leo Tolstoy. It is entitled The Imp and the Crust. Leo Tolstoy tries to tell the story of how man discovered alcohol. It is not a very nice story. And it is a story that says that the devil came to enslave man. And that is why the story is entitled The Imp and the Crust. Very, very interesting. And I want to encourage even the children who are in the gallery to read that story. You will realize that things like alcohol, things like cigarettes, perhaps are inventions of the devil, intended to enslave us and intended to keep us in a state where we are dazed and we are not able to work hard and we are not able to praise and give worship to God who created humanity. Mr. Speaker, let me finalize by saying that sometimes when we do good regulations like this or good laws like this, we then provide an opportunity for rent-seeking for the enforcement officers. Mr. Speaker, we have seen some things that happen at our airports. Immediately, we passed this law. I am sure that some rogue customs and border officers will be asking tourists to open up their suitcases. And if they find a vaping device, then they will use that to seek rent. We have seen where counties have come up with alcohol restriction laws. I think Nairobi City came up with certain tobacco restriction laws. Mr. Speaker, they went ahead to deploy plainclothes policemen to walk around and to frustrate. If you're found somewhere with a cigarette, they would handcuff you, and they would demand some bribe from you, and they would generally embarrass you. Let us make sure that enforcement of these regulations and enforcement of this statute does not open another backdoor for rent-seeking, for opportunistic behaviors from our enforcement officers. And Mr. Speaker, let us also allow county governments to be in this space, because the 4th schedule of the Constitution makes things like tobacco control and liquor licensing to be a function of county governments. All these policy directives coming from NACADA, coming from the national government, must be owned and must be bought into by the county governments. Mr. Speaker, this is a good innovation. This will protect our young people from the adverse effects of these devices. And Mr. Speaker, we must support this, but we must fine-tune it to ensure that we are not trying to regulate morals. We must deal with the root cause that drives our children into tobacco abuse, into alcohol abuse, and into drug abuse. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Kajwang. You have announced so many textbooks, story books to read. Maybe if you do me some favor, you lay them down, because I could not even get what you mentioned. So you give me the list, and I can get the books. Honorable Senators, let me make this communication as we proceed with the contributions. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and students from Kibiricha Junior Secondary School in Meru County. The delegation comprises 5 teachers and 60 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our ancient tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. Now, Honorable Senators, since I'm on the chair, I'll give this opportunity to my friend, other sister from Meru, from Kituim, but we took her to Meru, and she accepted to be a Marian. Senator Tabitha Mutinda, invite these people. But before you do that, let me say that this is a good school from my county, and I schooled at Kibiricha boys, they're in Kibiricha girls, in an area that is very, very conducive for learning. So proceed and welcome the visitors.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to welcome my small brothers and sisters from Kibiricha Junior Secondary School in my matrimonial county, Meru, the great county of Meru, where our speaker, represents. And as you've heard, when Senator Kajwang was doing his submissions and mentioned so many books, your speaker loves a lot of reading, as you can tell by wanting to read more and more books. He has also stated he's an alumni of Kibiricha Boys, an indication that the motto of the school, he has continued with it up to the floor of this house, that reading and acquiring knowledge and the skills that are required is the best way to go. These are the skills that nobody will ever take away from you. Education is the weapon that nobody will ever take away from you. And also the future belongs to those who believe in it. You have a bright future. Meru is where I'm married. is my other home. Apart from where I've come from, I'm happy to be here, and you can also be here. Anybody can be in this particular space. I want to tell the young people, respect your teachers. Enjoy your studies. There's no reverse. You have a very good opportunity. Some of us did not even have an opportunity in the schools that we used to be to even have an opportunity to come to the Gallery of Parliament. You have one. Use it well and make the best out of it. I wish you well. I wish you God's blessings. And I think my network tells me that the speaker had sent something for you. It's my prayer. I see the heads are nodding that you've received whatever he has sent to you. And may God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, let us hear the perspective of this bill from the Vice Chair of Health, and then we proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, first, I have to appreciate Senator Muma for coming up with this amendment. Mr. Speaker, the parents' bill, the last amendment was 2009, Mr. Speaker, before devolution. Mr. Speaker, that showed that there is a gap in our tobacco control bill. So Senator Muma now decide that gap. She has seen the gap and she decided to do that. And I stand to support the bill. Mr. Speaker, if I go direct to the bill, Mr. Speaker, in the first definition of the smoking, it has been done very well. It has incorporated nicotine. And also when it comes to tobacco products, because in the parents' bill, it doesn't have, it has a tobacco product, but with no synthetic nicotine definitions. So that means that the objective of the bill is to come up with a regulation of the electronic nicotine bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in a section 3, where the Senator Muma amends on the one person nominated by the county government, I appreciate that because this bill, the parent bill, is done before the devolutions, and now this one is considering the county government. That is more of involving devolution. Mr. Speaker, Section 7, amendment, Section 4, which is amendment of Section 7, which gives 50% of the fees paid for testing and approval of the products. When it comes to approval and testing, Mr. Speaker, as my opinion, I think one of the senators also bring that opinion on board on the approval and testing power, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that we have to separate the role of the power, the approval and the testing. The approval to be done by the Cabinet Secretary for Health, and the testing to be done by Kenya Bureau of Standard. Because if we do, I know it is bureaucratic for the approval and testing, but to restrict these consumptions and also for the industries players not to do some other bribery issues, we need to separate the approval and the testing. On the 50%, my suggestion is also, Mr. Speaker, the consumption of the consumers of these products, in the long run, they end up in health problems. and the lungs cancer, and so forth. Mr. Speaker, in SHA, there is a chronic illness fund. So in this, we have to have, maybe my suggestion is the 2% from the source to be deducted to go to the chronic and illness fund. That is one of the amendments which I may suggest on that, so that at least those affected people on the lungs cancers and many other chronic diseases can be catered for in health-wise, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the volume of narcotic system in the electronic cigarette, which she suggested, Senator Muma suggested 10 mg, and internationally it is 20 mg limit, which is suggested by, that is an industry players, that's their suggestion. That show that they wanted to be, the consumers to be more addictive. To reduce that, we need to reduce the volume of the nicotine in the cigarette, Mr. Speaker. So I agree with the 10%, 10 mg nicotine in the cigarette. Mr. Speaker, there is also, when it comes to also flavors, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these electronic cigarettes are in packaging in some kind of packaging. Like there is a filter pen, there is a flash disk, of which an ordinary person, me myself, I cannot know until maybe somebody can, maybe an experienced person can tell me this is what is a cigarette, Mr. Speaker. And also, if at all it has a smell, I can recognize, but it has so many flavors that you cannot even think that this person is smoking the cigarette, Mr. Speaker. So to my opinion, and with the agreement of the Senator Muma, we ban the flavor. And in any way, if you are a smoker, why do you have to hide? And also, to be safe aside to our youth, our kids at home, Mr. Speaker, we ban this flavor so that we see for the behaviors of our kids at home, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the online sales or hawkers and also adverts online, Mr. Speaker, there's easy accessibility for our youth, Mr. Speaker. To restrict, we have to restrict online sales, because nowadays all of us do sales on when we are on our bedroom, Mr. Speaker. So to avoid that, and our youth, maybe you thought that they are doing some other things, maybe they are even ordering this thing online, Mr. Speaker. To avoid that, we have to restrict mode of sales, that is online sales, and also advertisement, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other thing is warning written on the electronic cigarette, Mr. Speaker. The industry players suggested that that is we cannot do, because maybe some of them is like a pen, and writing that warning on that, it will be a tiny thing. So we decided as a committee, no, the warning must be written in any cigarettes and also electronic cigarette, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my suggestion on the also licensing requirement, Mr. Speaker, the way liquor license is different from others, let also tobacco license, electronic cigarette to be different, so that it cannot be sold in anywhere, because currently can be sold in a kiosk in anywhere. But if we restrict the licensing, it is more of controlling measures so that anyone can access the substances, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, The other one is about the board. And the board, I've already highlighted that Senator Muma has cooperated the county government, of which senators, the oversight in and Senate and county government, Mr. Speaker. There is also the matter of there is a control fund, tobacco control fund. As I have already highlighted, Mr. Speaker, the fund which is in tobacco control fund, Mr. Speaker, currently they are not using properly because they are getting the money from Exchequer. Mr. Speaker, that percentage of the 2% or 5% roughly can be deducted to take to chronic illness fund. Mr. Speaker, in section 5, there is a place supplies to and by young person, Mr. Speaker, that is restricting no person should be sell tobacco products to a person under 18. Mr. Speaker, that shows that we can, kids nowadays, but with this accessibility of the electronic cigarette, which is not regulated, it is everywhere, Mr. Speaker, in primary school even, leave of secondary school, Mr. Speaker. So we have to, if we pass this bill, our primary school and secondary schools will be safe because they are under 18 and it will be safe. Mr. Speaker, for the promotions and the advertisements and the sponsor, Mr. Speaker, they are not supposed to sell no person should advertise the tobacco product on any medium of electronic, printed, or any other form of communications, because that is under online selling, on the online advert, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there is also prohibiting smoking area, which we have to regularize. The bill restricted where not to smoke the cigarette, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is highly recommended that we are not supposed to, in a working area, there must be a strategic place for cigarettes smoking area, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the Commissioner of Congo Mugeni, a Senator for Nyamira County.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you for the opportunity you have given me to contribute to this bill that has been sponsored by my good friend, Senator Catherine Muma. Mr. Speaker, I begin by saluting Senator Catherine Muma for coming up with a bill that, Mr. Speaker, poses a big, the use of e-cigarettes that is being addressed in this bill poses a big challenge to the future of our children. And I'm up, Mr. Speaker, I'm making my contribution when in the gallery there are a number of students who I believe will pay some attention to what I'm going to say. Mr. Speaker, I've read the Memorandum of Object and Reasons in support of this bill, and I want to begin by making an appeal to my good friend Senator Muma, because of what I'm going to state on this floor. We should amend our statement of object and reasons for the bill, instead of saying that the bill seeks to ensure that no products, particularly electronic nicotine delivery systems, are manufactured, distributed, or imported or sold in Kenya without the prior authorization of the Cabinet Secretary. Mr. Speaker, I'll propose that we should amend this bill to ban totally the use of e-cigarettes in this country. Mr. Speaker, if my good friend Catherine Muma, Senator, is persuaded, we should amend this bill and propose for a total ban of e-cigarettes in this country. Mr. Speaker, if you speak to any doctor, I was present in a sitting of the Health Committee when we received views from a number of stakeholders. And Mr. Speaker, one of the stakeholders in that meeting was a widow of a son of a former cabinet secretary, a former minister during Moi's government, the widow of the late Peter Olo Aringo Jr. Mr. Speaker, I took videos of the presentation of that lady, the widow of the late Peter Olo Aringo Jr. And Mr. Speaker, that Kenyan who appeared before that committee had very convincing health-backed scientific reasons why we should not allow e-cigarettes to be sold in this country, Mr. Speaker. And I don't think, Mr. Speaker, as members of this august House, we should legislate to allow products that are harmful to our children to be sold in this country, Mr. Speaker. I've seen the proposals in the bill, especially in section 15, where we are saying that we are going to prohibit smoking of e-cigarettes in our homes. Mr. Speaker, do you have capacity of banning your 18-year-old from smoking e-cigarettes in your own home? What will be the legal consequence? The best thing we can do, Mr. Speaker, is to keep these products away from our borders. And Mr. Speaker, science, the research around science supports banning of e-cigarettes. The WHO itself, Mr. Speaker, and I'm happy that the chair of health is now here. He was in that meeting, Mr. Speaker, when we got that presentation from the widow of Peter Olo Aringo Jr., Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, WHO has warned us. WHO has warned nations all over the world, Mr. Speaker, that allowing e-cigarettes consumption in any country, the risk you're posing is to the children, the young people of those countries. They say the people at risk is not us, the senior citizens, 50 years and above. No. Nobody's going to convince you, Mr. Speaker, at your age to start consumption of e-cigarettes. No. But WHO is saying in countries that e-cigarette is allowed, about 50% of the customers of e-cigarette smoking are children between the age of 15 and 24, Mr. Speaker. Just look at that risk, that as a country, we are putting at risk a very vulnerable generation of 15 to 24 at the risk of getting addicted to e-cigarettes. And then WHO is telling us, Mr. Speaker, that the easiest way of moving into conventional smoking is by allowing e-cigarettes, Mr. Speaker. Honestly, Mr. Speaker, why should we, barely because we want to look at commercial interest in terms of the tax that we are going to get, to destroy the future generation, simply because we are saying we want the government not to lose tax? Because in that meeting, Mr. Speaker, we had stakeholders in that meeting, and all they were telling us, Mr. Speaker, is that if you ban e-cigarettes, there will be a drop in revenue in terms of tax collection that will go to the government. Mr. Speaker, we should not substitute the future of our children with commercial interests, Mr. Speaker. As a country, we should never, Mr. Speaker. And then, Mr. Speaker, we are not an island. We are a family of nations, Mr. Speaker. There are countries that have been bold enough that have banned totally e-cigarettes within their jurisdictions. Even our neighbors, Uganda, President Kaguta Yoweri Museveni has totally banned e-cigarettes in Uganda, Mr. Speaker, through the Tobacco Control Act of Uganda, Mr. Speaker. If Museveni, our neighbor here, can forego tax income from e-cigarettes and still the country is surviving, why not us, Mr. Speaker? Why not us, Mr. Speaker? In Asia, Mr. Speaker, Thailand has totally banned the use of e-cigarettes, Mr. Speaker. If you read medical journals, Mr. Speaker, the professional body of doctors in the UK gave a scientific paper on the risk posed by e-cigarette that led to the banning, Mr. Speaker, total banning of e-flavored cigarettes in the UK, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if I was to have my way, this bill requires us to retreat. We'll be locked up in a hole somewhere, Mr. Speaker. And we call professionals. Let doctors speak to us on only one issue. Does e-cigarette smoking pose a risk to the health of our youths? And Mr. Speaker, if, as I've read myself, if they are able to bring evidence that shows that e-cigarettes poses a risk to our young children, Mr. Speaker, the best thing to do in the best national interest, Mr. Speaker, because we should be legislating, bearing in mind that we are doing it in the best interest of the country, not commercial, Mr. Speaker, best interest of the country. If we are convinced so, Mr. Speaker, then we should all unanimously agree that we should ban e-cigarettes. If you destroy a generation of between 15 to 24 years, Mr. Speaker, it means that you have no, you don't have a generation that will take over from us, Mr. Speaker. If you address the health concerns, Mr. Speaker, health concerns of e-cigarette consumption, they are serious, Mr. Speaker. One, e-cigarette consumption, Senator Catherine Muma, leads to serious lung damage, what doctors call a popcorn lung, Mr. Speaker. And do you know the serious risk, Senator Wambua, is that when you smoke an e-cigarette, you don't feel like it can harm you. Because, Mr. Speaker, it is smooth. It is so smooth. It goes down to the lungs very smoothly. Not like, I'm speaking like I've tried it, but that's what I was told in that meeting. That it goes down so smoothly, deep to your lung, okay? And you don't realize that it's causing some damage to your lung. But slowly by slowly, Mr. Speaker, it damages the airwaves around your lungs. And in that meeting, we were told, Mr. Speaker, that there are documented cases, where young people just collapse and die. And the cause, e-cigarette smoking. Mr. Speaker, why should we handle such a problem with gloves? We should hit the nail on the head, Mr. Speaker, and say, as a country, we are not going to tolerate anything called e-cigarettes, Mr. Speaker, in this country. The second health concern, Mr. Speaker, is nicotine addiction. This e-cigarette is the easiest way of becoming an addict, a smoking addict, Mr. Speaker. Because you look at it like it's fashionable, you know. Young people look at it like it's fashionable, but before you realize it, you become addicted to it, Mr. Speaker. Even what's more worrying, Mr. Speaker, is what doctors are telling us, that these e-cigarettes have some harmful chemicals in it. They call it diacetyl. I don't know that I pronounced it well. There is an harmful chemical they use to do the flavors in those e-cigarettes. And our children take them innocently, Mr. Speaker. We shouldn't allow such a thing to happen. We are here as leaders, we should be conscious that we need to protect the future of our young generation. And the best thing we can do, Mr. Speaker, is to be remembered that the 13th Parliament banned e-cigarettes. Mr. Speaker, I've said there are so many countries. You travel in all continents. You go to the Americas, Mr. Speaker, you will find that Argentina has totally banned e-cigarettes, Brazil, Mexico. That's in the Americas. In Asia, Mr. Speaker, there are many countries, including Thailand, Mr. Speaker, I've just said, Singapore, India, Mr. Speaker. You come to Africa, I've given the case of Uganda, there is the case of Gambia. Let us include Kenya there, Mr. Speaker. Let Kenya be among those countries, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, even if you were to remove the health concerns for our young people, there is another problem, Mr. Speaker. The world is currently discussing about issues dealing with the environmental conservation, Mr. Speaker. But these e-cigarettes pose a serious risk to our environment, Mr. Speaker, because the products used are non-biodegradable. Non-biodegradable, meaning that you use an e-cigarette, what remains? You throw it to the environment, you are destroying our environment, Mr. Speaker. And that's why countries like UK, Mr. Speaker, have totally banned disposable e-cigarettes. Okay? Because they are conscious that we need to protect the environment, Mr. Speaker. So I want to urge my good friend, Senator Catherine Muma, you have an opportunity to really, go on record as a senator who brought a bill that wants to protect the future of our young children. We all know, Mr. Speaker, how vulnerable our youths are in terms of some of the products that look very, very attractive, but pose serious health concerns to them, Mr. Speaker. So let us all come together, Mr. Speaker, and rally everybody to support the total banning of e-cigarettes, Mr. Speaker. There's a time, Mr. Speaker, we traveled with the health committee to Cuba. And Mr. Speaker, in Cuba, we were taken to farms that make tobacco, Mr. Speaker. And I was impressed, though I'm not a smoker, Senator Wambua, but I was impressed that in Cuba, the people who make cigarettes are extremely conscious of the risks that cigarettes pose to human beings, especially the products that are used in manufacturing cigarettes. So what they do, Mr. Speaker, is they roll that cigarettes using the tobacco leaf itself. They don't use any external material. The cigarette is made from that tobacco leaf itself. And the WHO is telling us, Mr. Speaker, it's better to smoke that tobacco rolled in that tobacco leaf than to smoke an e-cigarette. We have tobacco in Korea. If we want to allow consumption of tobacco, let us promote the traditional tobacco smoking. Before industrialization, I'm sure our grandfathers used to smoke tobacco the traditional way. You fold the leaf and you smoke it, natural from the farm, Mr. Speaker. But this one of e-cigarette, Mr. Speaker, we should not entertain the selling of e-cigarettes in our country. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to go to the details of what is contained in the bill, but I also want to draw concern on some of the provisions I continuously keep seeing on our bills. We keep saying, like what I'm seeing in Section 3, that we need one person nominated by a Council of County Governors, Mr. Speaker. Have you ever seen, even one day, an advert in a newspaper from the Council of Governors inviting Kenyans to apply to be appointed to any board, Mr. Speaker? What has been happening is that you put this clause, friends or supporters of governors are the ones who are nominated to sit in these bodies. If we want to entertain the involvement of it's called COG, Council of County Governors, in some of these legislations, Mr. Speaker, we should say nominated through a competitive process, so that we rotate all these positions. We have 47 counties, Mr. Speaker. If one legislation, a representative is picked from Meru, next time it should be Kitui. In another legislation, it should be from Nyamira, Mr. Speaker. But this one of just saying nominated by Council of County Governors, Mr. Speaker, without a merit-based process, you will get that it's just friends of maybe, and I'm not referring to the current chairman, but probably it's just friends of either the chairman, or if there is a committee that deals with issues of tobacco, they are the ones who select people to sit there. Let us make it merit-based, competitive. Senator Wambua, this matter is dear, and I hope I've convinced one or two senators, including yourself, yes, that we should support total banning of e-cigarettes. I've said the WHO supports that position. We have several cases. We can take best examples from countries that have banned it, then we join the progressive countries that want to protect our children. With those remarks, Mr. Speaker, sir,
very well,
I support.
Thank you, Commissioner. Senator Wambua Enoch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to also add my voice on this bill sponsored by our friend, our colleague, Senator Catherine Moma. Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by, of course, congratulating Senator Moma for bringing this bill for us to debate, take a vote, and then make a decision on which way to go in matters relating to e-cigarettes. Mr. Speaker, it should be remembered by all of us that from around 2017, or 2016, 2017, 2018, when e-cigarettes started making an appearance on our land through the then very famous shisha and vapes, to date, Mr. Speaker, is more than 8 years. And there is no law, even from the county assemblies, to regulate the sale and consumption of e-cigarettes. So, Speaker, even more worrying is the ease with which any person, irrespective of age, can access these e-cigarettes through the various websites. Mr. Speaker, and if that is not worrying enough, then you'll be worried, Mr. Speaker, by realizing the amount of nicotine packed into those vapes by the manufacturers and the dealers. The Speaker, here in Kenya, and I've had my own conversations with the promoter of the bill, and she has shown me vapes containing as much as 12,000 puffs in small units, others with 2,500 puffs, others with 9,000 puffs. Whereas, Mr. Speaker, from the manufacturers, the countries that manufacture these vapes and sell to our children in Kenya, the maximum number of puffs in those gadgets is 600. So the Speaker, it begs the question, if we are not just a dumping ground for those dangerous vapes, then what are we? The Speaker, we have a duty as leaders to protect our children. Yes, arguments have been put forth that at the age of 18, we should let our children make decisions on what they want to do with their lives. But, Mr. Speaker, truth be told, this is one avenue where an argument can be put forward that it provides fertile grounds for child abuse and killing the future of our children. I'm happy today, Mr. Speaker, because we are debating this bill when we have students visiting us from different schools. And they need to hear it from us, Mr. Speaker, that this is not a question of us legislating on morals, because we cannot do that. We can't even begin to legislate on morals. The Senator for Nyamira, the senior counsel, and our commissioner in the Parliamentary Service Commission, has proposed an engagement, a conversation between us as legislators and the Ministry of Health on the dangers of e-cigarettes. The Speaker, I want to expound on that proposal and suggest that such conversation should happen between three parties. One, the legislator, so that we come up with a law that is relevant to the reality of our time. The second partner or party to that conversation should be that Ministry of Health, and what we should be asking them to tell us from research is whether there is any known benefit of inhaling e-cigarettes, any known benefit. They bring it on the table. And then the Speaker, the third party to that conversation should be the CS Treasury to tell us how much money do we get in tax revenue from trading in e-cigarettes, and the amount of money that we use, Mr. Speaker, to treat ailments emanating from inhaling e-cigarettes. Mr. Speaker, we may be surprised to realize that it is a zero-sum game. In fact, we could be spending a lot more money on treatment for ailments associated with e-cigarettes and for rehabilitation of people, young people, and even adults that have been hooked and in rehabilitation centers than the amount of money that we get in taxes. Mr. Speaker, if it is true, and I don't doubt it, that Uganda, our neighbor, has decided to forego the revenue emanating from taxes on e-cigarettes, why should we have a problem with making that decision? Mr. Speaker, I am inclined, and you know this is the beauty of debate, I'm inclined to think along the lines of my colleague, Senator Eric Mogeni, that perhaps actually what we should do is to ban trade in e-cigarettes and consumption of e-cigarettes in this country. for a good reason, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know, I've also realized that for some reason, in this country, and I'm not saying this because I belong to the other side of the political divide, but Mr. Speaker, I've also realized that people are a bit timid in making bold decisions. Today, Mr. Speaker, I saw a very bold decision which asks a lot of our people in Tanzania, where the government has just decided to limit the businesses that non-citizens of Tanzania can be engaged in while in Tanzania. They have even gone ahead, Mr. Speaker, to say that any citizen who in any way facilitates a non-citizen to carry out certain businesses, including, Mr. Speaker, our own global innovation on M-Pesa trading, that any Tanzanian who aids any person from outside Tanzania to carry out money transfer, electronic money transfer, or telephone-based money transfer, commits a crime and is liable to a fine and a term in jail. Mr. Speaker, that decision in itself, it's a bad decision for us, but it is a bold decision. As Speaker, we can take bold decisions in this country and say that because the benefits of trading in and consuming e-cigarettes, the Speaker, face to nothing compared to the losses in terms of health, then we should take the bold decision and do away with e-cigarettes in this country. Mr. Speaker, again, in this country you realize that the websites that are selling e-cigarettes, there is, Mr. Speaker, so much of those products, so many of them, packaged in ways that are very, very attractive to young people. I've had, Mr. Speaker, an opportunity to look at some of them packaged as marker pens, you know, looking beautiful mark pens. Some of them looking like toys. Some looking like sweets. No, lollipops. And the Speaker, to add injury to, or insult to injury, the Speaker, they are flavored, you know. There's a chocolate flavor, no, strawberry flavor. So when you consume, you actually convince yourself, and I heard Senator Mogeni saying it goes in so smoothly, but he also made a rejoinder that he has not tried it. The Speaker, that must all be subjected to some analysis. We need to be sure. The way he explained it, it seems like a person who has first-hand experience, you know. It goes in so smoothly. And imagine it going down so smoothly for young people. And it is sold as a sweet with strawberry flavor. What will stop our kids from buying these products, Mr. Speaker? And then they get hooked to nicotine. Mr. Speaker, as I said, first of all, as a stopgap measure, as we move now towards a conversation on the ban, let us be very clear that you cannot have those products on Kenyan soil if and when they are flavored. Let's begin from there. That you can, Nicotine is nicotine, cigarette is cigarette. It must smell as it should. I mean, it must taste as it should. Don't put flavors into it to make it attractive or want to conceal the dangers of cigarette smoking. The Speaker, the bill as proposed, the amendment as proposed by Senator Catherine Muma, in Section 8, is the one that addresses the packaging and bans the sale, open sale of e-cigarettes in public vehicles, in public spaces. No, that's Section 9. Section 8 deals with the packaging using items that appeal to underage children, like sweets and toys. All that is good. The Speaker, as I conclude, I want to make an observation about that Section 3, the inclusion of a person nominated by the Council of Governors in the board. Mr. Speaker, going forward, I think this Senate will have to make a decision on how to engage with the Council of Governors. We must decide whether they are a body that we can give legal responsibilities, and then in that case, make a decision on how they will be funded, or just decide that they are an amorphous body, and then we don't assign any roles and responsibilities to them. So this case is very confusing. When governors appear before committees of the Senate, they are hard-pressed to explain how they are spending money on COG activities. But when we legislate, we assign roles and responsibilities to COG. Mr. Speaker, that decision, and because I know, Mr. Speaker, you are the chair, the able chair of the Legal Affairs Department. Mr. Speaker, you must unbundle that confusion for this Senate. That from one side of the mouth, the Senate is saying, you know, the COG should undertake these responsibilities. On the other side of the mouth, you are putting governors on the spot for spending money to facilitate the COG to undertake activities that you as the Senate have given to them. Mr. Speaker, this is not, it doesn't look good. And because you sit there as a Speaker and we know your abilities, the Speaker do something about that. So that then we don't have situations where we are making laws and every time we are debating a bill, it has a role that has been assigned to the COG, and yet we are not very, very clear on the legality of that body called the COG. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I congratulate Senator Muma for bringing up this bill and challenge Senator Muma and challenge this House to push this government to make bold decisions and backed by legislation that we are going to pass to ban the trade in and consumption of e-cigarettes in this country. If the World Health Organization, the Speaker, has pronounced itself on the dangers of e-cigarettes, and we have examples from our neighbors who have imposed that ban, and we have examples from the countries where these e-cigarettes emanate, who have taken drastic and bold measures to regulate. Mr. Speaker, we should be bold enough to say that we should push for a ban on e-cigarettes. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I support.
Senator Wambua, I took note of the comments you made regarding that proposal by Senator Muma as regards the membership which you are proposing to come from the Council of Governors. And it's something that, remember, there has been litigation as to the legality of that council, and definitely will take appropriate action. Senior Counsel Kongo Mogeni knows the extent with which such actions can, such positions can be pushed through the House, and I think it is worth the comments you made, and I definitely will also, as a chair of JLAC, undertake what needs to be undertaken. Now, honorable members, there is no other member who is seeking to contribute to this particular bill, and therefore I will call upon the mover, Senator Catherine Muma, to reply on this very important bill.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to most sincerely thank colleagues who have taken time to read this bill and have contributed and enriched my thinking on this bill. I'd like to specifically thank Senator Veronica Minas, Senator Olekina, Senator Majority Leader Senator Aaron Cheruyot, Senator Cherarke, Senator Tabitha Mutinda, Senator Kisang, yours truly, Speaker Senator Sigei, Senator Kajuang, Senator Marian, Senator Mogeni, Senior Counsel, and Senator Wambua, who have contributed in a very profound way. Honorable Speaker, I am glad that colleagues appreciate that this is not just a legislative adventure by Catherine Muma, it is a responsibility that we need to take on as a House. I hope a responsibility that we will deliver and deliver soon, a responsibility that I hope we can persuade the National Assembly to actually deliver as well. A responsibility that I'd like to call on industry to not block. A responsibility that I'm asking the Ministry of Health to take seriously. In fact, to the CS Duale, to the extent that the officers in the Ministry of Health have allowed a whole 8 years of business that is ruining our children to keep going unchecked. I think they need to admit they have failed this nation, and they must be part of the solution. They must not be part of the problem. Honorable Speaker, a number of proposals have been made. I take note of Senator Cheruyot's proposal around the need to use the opportunity to see whether we can put greater responsibility to the Tobacco Control Board, which seems to work for the industry more than it works for the people of Kenya. He has made some proposals, and I will go and sit with him about how we hold them accountable to what they're supposed to do. He has made proposals around the fund that they have, how that fund can be used to be plowed back to ensure that we sensitize our society better around the ills of smoking and of the e-cigarettes as they have come. Senator Mogeni, Senator Wambua would prefer that we totally ban the e-cigarettes. They have, that is on the other end, but we have senators also who say that the business is there. Our responsibility is to ensure that we regulate this so that our children are out of harm. There is those who have talked about going beyond nicotine-based products. Is it Senator Kajwang who talked about the e-weed? It is something, again, I will have a chat with him to see, is there a clause that might be able to deal with that? There are those who've raised issues around taxation, responsibilities of KEBS, NACADA, and so on. There are those who have brought suggestion that I also include a definition on synthetic nicotine and so on. A profound one comes in around how we get the COG to be reflected in this bill, whether we want COG to be reflected or whether we want to give responsibility to county governments, and even if we do so, to ensure that there is meritocracy in the nomination. Honorable Senators, I really, really appreciate. I just want to tell you that I think this is quite important. Allow me to just make one demonstration. Senator Wambua, you are here. This gadget that I am holding that has 12,000 puffs, in Kenya, if you go to the UK and the EU and China, minimum nicotine content is 20 milligrams per milliliter. In Kenya, and this gadget in particular, is 50 mg per milliliter. And this, in the UK and the EU, a gadget cannot have more than 6,000 puffs. This gadget has 12,000 puffs. So now if you have a naughty 10-year-old who gets access to one gadget in the EU, and one who gets access in Kenya to this gadget, the child in the EU needs to go to the shop 60 times in order to achieve the content of nicotine in this gadget in Kenya. So can you imagine your child in Kenya having one gadget in their bedroom, puffing away this gadget, but the one who's being not in the EU must be extremely innovative to go to the shop 60 times. That is how we are killing our children. Now, there are those who've raised the issue of how will you monitor residents. Now, the issue is that the law on the protection of children does not say that if your father is a smoker, it is okay for you to smoke. So how will we protect children, for instance, who must passively be careful. Number two, a careful parent will take that law seriously, will actually go outside of that house when they want to smoke. So it's not just a law in vain. Even though it may not be implemented, it sends a serious message that we are also worried about the children of those of you who smoke, that they are equal children with equal right in these countries, and we are cognizant of the fact that you might be making them passive smokers in your house. So I'd like members to look at this in this regard. I'd like to tell the chair of the Committee of Health and members that this law is so important. I am open to actually sitting with you and bringing any amendments that would add value to this law. So do not be aggrieved that I moved forward. It is just that a year later, I think it's too long for us to move. And therefore, I am open to that. With those remarks, thank you so much. Thank you also to the Secretariat, Directorate of Legal, who helped to draft this law. My team, which has researched, I keep sending them, can you go and research what does this mean, who have actually worked on this, and I would like to thank you for all of this. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 66A, I request for the deferment of putting the question to a later date. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Catherine Muma. Pursuant to, yes, she has replied. Kindly rephrase the closing comment.
Honorable Speaker, I reply. And pursuant to Standing Order 66, I request for the deferment of putting of the question. Thank you.
That's now in order. Thank you. Now, pursuant to Standing Order 66, the putting of the question is hereby deferred to the next sitting of the House. And now, honorable members, for the convenience of the House, we will rearrange the order paper and call order number 20. Clerk, please call out order number 20.
Order number 20, motion, reports of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on its inquiry into the state of markets in Vihiga and Bungoma counties arising from a statement sought by Senator Godfrey Osotsi and Senator David Wakoli.
Senator Catherine.
Mr. Speaker, on Wednesday, 27th March 2024, the Senator for Bungoma County, Senator David Wafula Wakoli, MP, rose pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations regarding the state of markets in Bungoma County. Similarly, on Tuesday, 12th March, the Senator for Vihiga County, Senator Godfrey Osotsi, MP, rose pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a similar statement from the committee regarding the state of markets in Vihiga. Mr. Speaker, in the statement, Senator Wakoli, MP, the Senator for Bungoma County, sought a report on the state of key markets in Bungoma, including but not limited to Chepkube in Bungoma Town, Misihu, Kamukuywa, Matisi, Bukembe, Mateka, Chwele, Kimilili, Cheptais, Sirisia, Kapkateni, Kapsokwani, Kabula, Kandui, Mayanja, and Mateka, specifically addressing the availability and functionality of essential services such as water supply, street lighting, infrastructure, waste management, and sanitation. Additionally, he requested to be furnished with a status update of all market improvements and or expansion projects initiated by County Government of Bungoma for the financial year 2013 to 2014 to date. From the financial year 2013 to 2014 to date. Further, the Senator requested for a breakdown of the on-source revenues generated by the county government from each market from 2018-2019 to date, giving a comparison of the revenue to the total cost incurred for services, construction, and market improvements, as well as the amount retained from the revenue. Similarly, in the statement by Senator Godfrey Osotsi, CBS MP, the Senator for Vihiga County sought a report on the state of key